the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is Iracing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is Iracing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 11th round of the 2020 Karts Computers Racing Series second season. And we come to you tonight from the Charlotte Roval, a track that we had quite a bit of fun at last season. We ran it for the third round of our last series, and of course, with a very different driver lineup than we had back then. It'll be a very different experience tonight for sure. That was also a night race, and tonight we will be running in the broad daylight. But well, tonight is a very important race in our series, especially as it concerns the championship points. Tonight is the kind of regular season finale, as you could call it, of our series in the 11th round of our, now 14 round season. Of course, we did get rid of a race that was meant to come before tonight's race. But, we've had a little 2-week break, but we're back and ready for some more racing action. We have 6 playoff spots, of course, leading into our final 3 rounds of the season. That will be at Laguna Seca, Daytona, and Darlington, respectively. And, of course, the points will reset before the start of those 3 races. And then at the end of those 3 races, whoever does have the most points in the championship after that reset will be declared your championship winner here in the Karts Computers Racing Series. As for tonight's race, again, we come to you from the Charlotte Roval, a track with really a variety of different corner types. Certainly not like anything you'd see at any track that didn't occur at a oval road course, as you could call it. But yeah, you got some high bankings there towards the end of the track lap there, taking up, I'd say, about 40% of the lap. So definitely drafting and things of that sort with the slipstream would be absolutely key in terms of race pace. But really the intersection, a really tricky little section there at Charlotte Roval, especially in the Skip Barber, which is a car that, at the beginning of runs can be absolutely brutal on tires. It's one of those tracks that it takes a long time to perfect, and guys that maybe haven't had the chance to practice throughout the week are going to struggle, but those that have had the chance to get tuned into the track, and maybe those that ran it last year and that have experience running here at Charlotte Roval will find some success for sure. So, well, as you can see, we get some glimpses of what we're going to be looking at tonight in tonight's race, but no, unfortunately, race recap for tonight's race. Unfortunately, YouTube decided not to cooperate when it came to getting that for you. So unfortunately, we won't have actual footage to show of our last race 2 weeks ago at, I'm now blanking on where we were. It's been so long. At Mid-Ohio. We went there in the Delara IndyCar Series. Logan Paxa took the win in his 5th of the season, so congratulations to him. I believe he's won half the races this season. I think for a long time he was tied with Michael Crobach there with 4 apiece, and well, technically Michael did win the All-Star race, so I guess they are still tied at 5, but yeah, Logan's just had a great season overall. He missed one race, which did kind of hurt him in the point standings a little bit earlier, but we made his return there, and we had an absolutely great race at Mid-Ohio. Some great racing all throughout the field, really, and it was a tricky track for sure, but I'd say tricky in kind of a different way than we're expecting here tonight, because, well, the trickiest part of racing in IndyCar at Mid-Ohio is kind of, adhering to the limits of an IndyCar, that being the heavy oversteer you can get in certain corners, especially at low speeds trying to get up through the gears. And that was something that drivers struggled with a lot at Mid-Ohio. But here in a Skip Barber car, I mean, you have kind of the opposite problem where it's so slow getting up through the low end of the gears that by the time you're up to high speed, making corners is, well, really the key is to try to keep it in as high a gear as you can and try to carry speed through corners because you know how slow the acceleration is. So really, tonight's going to be a totally different challenge than anything we've experienced thus far, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what we have going tonight. So, well, before we get on to your information about tonight's race and the length of the track and so on and so forth, we first have the point standings to put up. But excitingly enough, we actually don't need to make a Microsoft Paint graphic tonight because they are now displayed in the lovely same overlay design as the rest of the graphics. So we are making improvements here at the Karts Computers Racing Series YouTube channel. But, well, there you see the 15 drivers that have run a race in our series this season. Technically 14 drivers, as Woody Mahan is on the graphic, but he's making his race season debut tonight. Those of you that watched our All-Star race earlier this season will remember just how exciting and talented he was, almost winning the thing. He came about a half a lap away from winning at the Indy 250 earlier this season, so hence his 0 points total tonight. But he is actually joining the Lad Pedal R&D team as teammate of Andrew Bedrosian. So, I mean, we've talked a long time about Andrew getting a teammate in this series, but finally he will have one to try to close in that team points gap that we'll talk about in a moment. But, well, for now, there are your championship points, including the 2 drop races for each driver this season, of course, meaning that the 2 lowest point totals for individual races throughout the season we're going to be cut for each driver. So throughout the season, I've showed different points tallies. So this is kind of the official one going into tonight's cutoff for the playoffs. But the most important thing you see there is kind of from the 5th to 9th place positions there, a gap separated less than 20 points between 5 drivers. And those 5 drivers are all fighting for the playoff positions tonight. I'm not sure as of yet whether Marshall Crocker will be able to make tonight's race, but the other 4 drivers will be able to be here, and well, hopefully it'll be an exciting battle for those final positions. Again, 12 points in our series that separates the 6th and the 7th spots of Devin Crosby and Manuel Gara. 6 spots in our series 12 points in our series is absolutely nothing. That's maybe 3 or 4 positions midway through the field. So it's going to be a big, impactful race tonight. I'll be sure to keep up with the points throughout the race. But the important thing to note is that the top 4 drivers there of Logan Paxa, Michael Crobach, Andrew Bedrosian, and Rich Foligno have all got their tickets punched automatically to the Championship 4, as they are far enough ahead in the points that, well, provided they showed up, which they all did, they would have a guaranteed spot in the playoffs. So congratulations to those 4. I'm looking forward to see what they do going forward in our final 3 rounds. But besides that, we still have some positions to decide after that. Excitingly enough as well, we actually got a pretty good field for tonight's race. Looks like 12 or possibly 13 guys. But we have Jordan West and Max Preston returning to the series. I know they've kind of faded in a little bit in and out in the last couple weeks. And again, Woody Mahan making his debut tonight. So it should be a good field, and we're looking forward to seeing what kind of racing action we get with such a large field tonight at Charlotte Roval. And after that, finally, we have the team standings coming into tonight's race. So there are your official team points in our kind of Constructors Championship for our 14-race season. Important to note as well that we will drop the worst 8 race finishes of each team. So that isn't specifically per driver. That's just the 8 worst team finishes combined will be dropped in favor of the points. So that is the undropped points. That is just the raw point standings going into tonight. But, well, you can kind of get the narrative idea without actually needing to see the drop. So I had Pedal Motorsports Blue made up of Michael Crobach and Rich Foligno with a pretty commanding, 126 point lead ahead of Logan Motorsports, made up of the 2 Logans, Paxa and Ferguson. After that, though, Diabolique Motorsports, kind of consistency being their motto here. They just don't seem to have bad races, and they've stayed consistent all season. So the combination of just being great at attendance, I don't think either of them have missed a race, and the fact that they're just always a factor in fighting for podium spots and races just means that they've been able to amass 270 points. They're not even all that far off a second either, but after that, Lad Pedal R&D, the 252 point total there has kind of been carried by Andrew Bedrosian, that being he's never had a teammate. So finally that team name does actually get 2 team members. And again, Woody Mahan, after almost winning the All-Star race, you got to think that he's going to have the pace tonight to hopefully challenge and make a good statement tonight and try to help out Andrew in getting that team point total up. But with that being said, you can see the rest of the team points tonight. Of course, Lad Pedal Motorsports Green, made up of Devin Crosby and Josh Gallagher. I believe Josh will not be able to make it tonight, but JM Motorsports, made up of both Justin Lillick and Max Preston, both of whom were able to attend tonight's race. And finally, the M&M Racing team of Marshall Crocker and Marco Felice, Marco, who also hasn't been here in a couple of weeks, and Blackout Racing, who is supposed to be made up of multiple drivers, but this season has only been made up of by Jordan West. And that should round off our points for tonight's race, or at least going into tonight's race at the Charlotte Roval. But with all that being said, let's just throw up your race info for tonight and see what we have to look forward to here at Charlotte Roval. As you can see, the track length of about 3.6 kilometers is, I'm trying to think of what that is in miles. That's approximately the length of an actual super speedway. So not a small track by any means. I think it's about a minute and a half laps in terms of layout, and we got 50 laps tonight. So should be a fairly mid-sized race. Shouldn't be crazy long in terms of attrition, but it'll be one that'll keep the drivers engaged, and in some ways that's even more difficult to deal with than a long race. So, well, with that being said, you can see the track layout there, and well, there's the altitude, but it doesn't really affect us at a road course built around an oval. So that's about it. As you can see there, round 12, our next round of the series, and also our first round of the playoffs, will be a week from today on Friday, August the 14th. For the remainder of the series, all of our races will be held in 1 week increments, so no more weekend races. It'll just be every Friday until the end of August, at which point we have our season finale at Darlington Raceway. But with all that being said, we now have our housekeeping duties out of the way. We can now focus on tonight's qualifying results. And there you see your current, you could say qualifying order. Only 10 drivers have registered a qualifying lap so far. I believe 2 have yet to as of yet, those being Rich Foligno and Marshall Crocker. So, well, there are your 10 drivers who have run qualifying laps for tonight. And our practice session was notably pretty equal. I think we had 4 guys within 2/10 of each other for the top lap. But, well, tonight the top lap is pretty much in control by Logan Baxa here. He's taken it by almost 6/10 there in qualifying, a 132.6, which on cold tires is an absolutely blistering lap. I'm amazed we had anybody that was able to go that quick. So, well, props to Logan. It seems like at every road course he finds a way to do it. But, again, it'll be a long race, and we do have the competition cautions in effect tonight. So, competition cautions can absolutely throw everything into chaos. So, well, we'll see how that goes, and when we get the little resets, we'll see how strategy comes into play. And I know guys pitting right before cautions has been a thing that in the past has led to a chaotic strategy format in which we see, often Logan isn't leading by the end of by the beginning of the final stage, which at these road courses where he's so quick can throw a wrench in his plans for sure. But well, you see the rest of the qualifying order tonight. Woody Mahan making his debut in the series, as I talked about, but he's qualified 4th, which is an impressive job for him tonight. The biggest surprise to see there is Michael Crobach qualifying all the way down there in 7th, running a lap in the mid to late 134s. So Michael was running pretty quick in practice. I'm not sure if it was just a case that he had a spin in one of his qualifying laps in an attempt to get quick laps on cold tires, but well, whatever it may be, he looks like he'll be starting on the inside of the 4th row tonight. So, well, hopefully we'll see if he's able to make up some positions tonight. I know that with his spot punched in the playoffs and a pretty considerable gap to him and the guys around him that he's fighting with for playoff seeding to get extra bonus points going into the playoffs, well, looks like he's in a pretty good spot. But, well, with that being said, actually Andrew Bedrosian as well qualifying down in 9th. So we got a pretty big shakeup in terms of driver positions heading into tonight's start of the race. But, well, with qualifying at a close, we can now get ready for the start of tonight's race. And with that, we can now put up your qualifying results. And there you see him there. Oh, we're going to go to a slightly different angle because that one's a little bit tough to see on a background. But there is your drivers for tonight's starting lineup. You see there are only 11 drivers in tonight's race, as the number 28 entry of Marshall Crocker Jr., whom is me. For those of you that are new to the broadcast, that is me. I host the Karts Computers Racing Series, and I'm also the commentator. So usually I'm able to remember to get myself off the graphics, but, well, tonight I made the mistake again. So, but there is your starting grid for tonight in the fancy displayed style that I very rarely use. But, well, you see your team names as well. We're upgrading here at the Karts Computers Racing Series, so to get a better idea of who exactly drives for what team. But on the pole, again, for the, I believe, 6th time this season, all 6 have come at road courses, is Logan Paxa there in the 1 entry, your reigning champion, running a 132.6, so a very deserved time for him as well if he's going to qualify in pole. But in the 2nd spot on the outside of the front row, Justin Lewick, I believe this is his first time qualifying in the top 3 this season, so props to Justin, looking for a good finish tonight. And I know he's talked about that he's got plenty of practice coming into this race, so, well, it's good to see that he's had such good luck. And I know he was one of the drivers that did race in our first season, and he seemed to have a lot of success there. I think an unfortunate incident did put him out of that race early, so I'm sure he's looking for redemption tonight, and a good finish for him would punch his ticket to the championship 6, so best of luck to him. But after that, Devin Crosby running only a 10th off of Justin. Devin, again, is a guy that I know puts a lot of time into iRacing, and he's one of the more talented guys in our series, but really, I've always thought of him more as an oval guy, but every time we come to a road course lately, it just seems like he's getting better and better, and, well, tonight could, be another chapter in that story is, qualifying just 7.5 tenths off of the, well, I guess you could say qualifying lead there by Logan Paxa, so he will start on the inside of the 2nd row. But after that, Woody Mahan making his debut there for Lad Pedal R&D. Again, great performance in the All-Star race for him. And, well, we'll see how he's able to do tonight as we see the cars pulling off and getting ready for their warm-up lap here at the Charlotte Roval. But, yeah, Woody Mahan, let's look to see what he can do here at a road course, and especially one that isn't involving the IndyCar. I know he's kind of an IndyCar specialist there running the Delaire IR18 like we did the All-Star race. But, well, tonight we'll see how his skills translate over to the Skip Barber Formula 2000 car. In the 5th position, his best qualifying spot of the season, I should add, John Gara there for Diabolique Motorsports there in the number 11 car. We'll actually cycle through the entries as we go so you can see the wonderful paint schemes these guys will be running tonight. But yeah, John Gara is a guy that, he's been getting closer and closer to those podium positions, but he is fighting for a playoff spot tonight. He's, I think, sitting in 7th with 115 points, only 13 back of a playoff spot, which is, again, nothing in terms of positions going into tonight's race. So he's got a big race ahead of him, and, well, we'll see how he's able to come away from tonight's race with hopefully as many points as possible if he wants to make the playoffs. But on the outside of his row, Jordan West for Blackout Racing. Again, I think a very good qualifying position for him. Qualifying in the top half of the grid. Jordan just sitting barely back of John Gara, very close to that 5th position. But again, he's missed a couple of races in the past, but well, he seems to be really quick when he seems to get practice time. And yeah, he's just kind of a wild card coming into tonight's race. And he is another driver that did run our race here last season. So best of luck to Jordan West. We'll see how he does tonight. I mentioned him a moment ago, but Michael Crobach will be starting in the 7th position with Max Preston to his outside. Both guys running almost identical times there, about 2.2 seconds off the pole lap. But Michael Crobach is, again, he's qualifying a little bit far back from his usual efforts. But again, he's got a spot punched to the playoffs. You got to think he doesn't necessarily need to do anything too crazy tonight. But after the two of them, and again, Max Preston returning tonight for J&M Motorsports. He's a guy that in the past has started a couple of races where he hasn't been able to finish because of, I believe, technical issues. So hopefully he'll be able to stick with us the entire time and finish the race. And again, he's really quick when he gets a full race in. So excited to see what we see from him with Max Preston in the number 8 entry. Andrew Bedrosian again in the number 9, in the 9th spot in the grid in the 22 car. Finally gets a teammate tonight. So again, he's starting far back for his usual standards. I mean, 9th place still isn't bad by any means, but well, we'll see if he's going to be able to move through the field at the very beginning of tonight's race and hopefully get some more valuable points and maybe switch up his seating there from the 3rd spot to get a couple more bonus points heading into the playoffs. We are about to go green, so Manuel Gara in the 11th entry will round out our field there in the number 11 spot for Diabolique Motorsports. And Rich Foligno will start at the tail of the field, did not register a qualifying lap, but he is another one of our drivers with their tickets already punched to the Championship 6. And with that, we now finish up your race grid for tonight, and we get ready to go racing here at the Charlotte Roval. Looking forward to tonight's race. Let's just throw up your session laps for tonight. We have 50 to go, and of course the two Crockers there will not be starting the race. Of course, me being the commentator, and my father will be unable to start tonight's race. Getting ready to go here at the Charlotte Roval. We will throw on the lovely sounds of the Skip Barber Formula 2000 cars. Getting ready to go green here at Charlotte Roval. The green flag will drop momentarily. The green flag flies. Logan Paxa comes through the chicane. Green flag here at the Charlotte Roval for the regular season finale and round 11 of the Karts and Computers Racing Series 2nd season. Pretty solid start there for Logan, but Justin really isn't dropping off too far on the very beginning of the start. We'll throw up the track map there on the bottom and get everything in session for you to start the race. Looks like somebody back in the field a little bit further has crashed. That's Manuel Gara in the number 12 entry, trying to get back up to speed, but doesn't look like huge damage on his behalf, so he will continue going forward. But Jordan West there has already leapfrogged John Gara there for the 5th position. Now he's in the draft on the number 27 car of Woody Mahan, trying to get as many positions as he can to start off the race. Looking elsewhere throughout the field, looks like everybody's making it pretty reliably through the interior of the track. On cold tires, it can be absolutely brutal to try to make things happen here, and especially even just to make it around here on cold tires without crashing. You see how close the guys are coming to that outside wall, but everybody makes it through clean, and Devin Crosby's still in the back bumper of Justin Lewick. He's got a great slipstream there, but Woody Mahan is in his slipstream as well, so really the potential for anybody to make a pass here between the 2nd and 4th positions. Devin's going to peek to the outside there on the number 7 of Justin Lewick. He's going to go side by side with him coming into the chicane here. Let's see the guys as they come up here. Everybody appearing to make it onto the banking here. So the only exception being Manuel Gara. We see somebody has to cut off the chicane. That was Devin Crosby. Michael cuts it as well. One of the Diabolique cars does. Not sure what happened there. It just looks like nobody wanted to take the corner. But, well, Devin Crosby is technically in the 2nd spot, but you know that his simulation is telling him to give the spot back to the guys behind him. So, well, with that, Woody Mahan will move up to the 2nd spot. Where is Justin Lewick? He's still in the fray, but I am honestly not sure as to what just happened right there coming through the chicane on the backstretch. But, well, with that, Woody Mahan now is Jordan West peeking to his inside. Jordan's going to take a look down the inside for the 2nd time through corner 1. He'll make the pass pretty handily. So Jordan West will already move up to the 2nd spot with Woody Mahan right behind him. Looking back a little bit further to Justin Lewick and Devin Crosby behind him somewhere. The two guys that, well, just a moment ago were battling for the lead positions, and the chaos there in the first time through the chicane unfortunately means that they will move back a couple of spots, and, well, they'll need to take some time if they want to make up positions, or, well, hopefully not, but may need to wait until the competition yellow. Rich Foligno there, who started from the tail of the field due to being unable to register a qualifying time, is also spun. Looks like an individual incident. Nobody really around him, and certainly nobody looking like they have damage, so the last car besides him on the lead lap right now is Manuel Gara as well. But Jean appears to still be within range of the slipstream there on Andrew Bedrosian ahead with Michael Crobach ahead of him. So if he's able to get in the slipstream through the banking this time, he might be able to catch up and get back in the fold and try to get some positions. Because, again, coming into tonight, being one of the 5 drivers looking for championship spots going into the final 3 races, he's got a lot to fight for tonight. But Woody Mahan looked like he was going to peek to the inside of Jordan West. Jordan with a huge hop over the curbing there. Not sure if all of you saw that, but Woody Mahan's going to dive to the outside. I thought, that's Justin Lewick on the inside. He's going to go straight by. Justin just got a much better run off the chicane there. So Justin, I know, lost a spot just a moment ago, and he still lost a spot from the start of the race, but he'll move back to the third spot. Just going to throw up the positions gained by each driver tonight on the timing tower. But Jordan West has already moved up 4 spots from the start of tonight's race, as well as Max Preston, who's moved up 3. So several guys throughout the field are making up positions rapidly. And, well, it's good to see that guys are, well, everybody's more than just their starting positions, you could say. And really, in the Karts Computers Racing Series, you can never take a starting spot for granted, especially not for a guy like Jordan West, because, again, 4 spots he's had a very successful start to the race tonight. But looking elsewhere throughout the field, everybody still appears to be up to pace. So besides the 2 incidents for Rich Foligno and Manuel Gara that were, again, single-car incidents, looks like everybody stayed fairly clean. But now we've got a battle for the 3rd position there between Justin Lewick, Woody Mahan, and Max Preston. All 3 cars are looking actually pretty similar in terms of liveries, but Justin Lewick flies down the inside of Jordan West, knocks him off into the grass. Jordan flies through a sign or 2 and tries to re-enter the racing line. Does manage to, but you got to think his tires are going to be covered in grass, so his grip might be a little bit questionable for a moment. Devin Crosby, huge crash there in the background. Absolutely massive incident. Andrew hits them. The number 11 car of Jean Gara getting involved as well. We're going to have to go to a replay on that, but that was a massive incident. One of the bigger ones I've ever seen in a Skip Barber car. Devin coming into the entry back into the oval itself onto the banking, but well, Andrew just tries to get underneath and makes massive contact with him, sending him flying into the outside wall. You see there, if you just happen to tap the outside of a Skip Barber car, the damage can be catastrophic. And well, Andrew's car was damaged. I think he was missing a wheel, but Devin, that huge slam into the outside wall. I'd be terrified if that were a real life incident. But well, you saw there late, I think that was Jean Gara that made contact at the very end of that incident. So John is trying to get back up to speed there as we come through the chicane there. Oh, you can see Andrew driving by there with damage as well. He's got a tire like pushed into the inside of his front left, but he's still managing to continue. So after that, though, we head back up to the front of the grid as we see, yeah, it looks like on the track map, only Andrew Bedrosian and Jean Gara are needing to get back up to speed. Devin Crosby appeared to need to use a quick tow there to get to the pits. So it'll take a little bit of time, and kind of bad luck for Devin Crosby. It's even worse tonight as he's another one of those guys fighting for a playoff spot. So that could have disastrous implications. But for the time being, we go back to these 3 very similarly colored cars here from 2nd to 4th position, that being Woody Mahan and then the 2 JM Motorsport teammates of Justin Lewick and Max Preston. Woody continuing to hold down that 2nd spot with an 8-second gap ahead to Logan Paxa. I haven't really had the chance to talk about your race leader so far yet, but well, Logan running in that Mercedes Petronas livery, the new black livery they've adopted this season instead of the traditional silver. He is making massive jumps over the banked curbs there on the little chicane there on the backstretch. So a very aggressive style there by Logan Paxa, and that could long term have small implications in terms of like physical damage. But for the time being, he appears to be okay. So he's going away by about 8.6 seconds in 4 laps. I'm not going to question his methods whatsoever. But for the time being, that battle between the top, well, I guess the 2nd to 4th place guys still rages on. A little ways back, Michael Crobach and Jordan West. I'm forgetting what happened to Jordan. Oh, Jordan was pushed off just a moment ago by, was that Justin Lewick? Jordan's going to go around this time through the banking, or that's the 2 little mini chicane there before the start-finish line. So kind of got loose on a curb there and bounced over. Should be able to get back up to speed pretty quick, but he's got Rich Foligno there in the 7th position coming up on him pretty quick. And again, neither of these 2 guys, whether it be Jordan or Rich, are fighting for championship spots necessarily. Jordan has just missed a couple too many races to still be in competition for a playoff spot, and Rich has already punched his. But we'll look at the 4 guys there separating the 2nd and 5th positions, all in the 11-second marker you see there in the timing tower. We're going to have a chaotic entry to this corner here, come through the middle of the infield. All 4 guys seem to make it through pretty clean, but Max Preston appears to have made the pass on Justin Lewick at some point there, so Max will move up to the 3rd spot. And well, the running joke for a while has been that we're going to change the name of JM Motorsports, or I guess MJ Motorsports as it was originally called, based on which driver, whether it be Justin or Max, is higher finishing in each race. And well, for the time being, that team name is going to have to switch back before we go to Laguna Seca, because Max is going to fly ahead of Justin for the first time in quite a few races. Good to see that his internet is holding out and he's up to speed. No issues tonight. He's going to absolutely send it in on Woody Mahan. He's going to have to check up, and now as a result, I think Justin's going to head to the outside and try to take that position. Max is going to cut right down to the bottom and try to hold off the inside line, but again, it's so crucial to have good momentum here around the banking. As these Skip Arbor cars can get up to their top speed, it takes them forever. So to get up there as quick as you can is the most important thing in these cars. But Michael's going to sit back and let the two JM Motorsport cars fight it out through the chicane, both making it through pretty clean. But a bit of a bad bounce there for Max Preston. Now Crobach's going to look underneath, so Lewick gets the spot back and Preston through the banking, and now Crobach will take the spot back on Max Preston. But again, only 3 seconds separating Woody and Max, the two guys in second and fifth. So really anything could happen for these mid to top of the field spots here. So again, Michael is, Max is not giving up there on Michael for that 4th spot. Tried to get a pretty aggressive send going in there through the kind of banked I guess that's the 4th and 5th turn there. But it's a tough one for sure in my own efforts here at Charlotte Roval. We'll show the in-car camera in just a moment, but yeah, there are certain corners in this track that, especially on cold tires and these Skip Arbor cars, can be brutal, and you got to work the wheel pretty good if you want to make it around them in one piece. So it's an impressive effort for guys that are just able to finish tonight's race, let alone be able to come away with a good spot. But really anybody in the top 5 spots as we speak is in competition and has the potential for a good spot, because again, we're not even to the first competition yellow, and these guys are already fighting out for every position they can get. So it kind of gives you a good idea as to how confident guys can be in these Skip Arbor cars that they can make passes, because so often we do the Dallara IR18 races where it's so much about being able to finish the race, let alone be able to win them, because the Indy cars are so quick but kind of so volatile and by the same token. But these Skip Arbor cars kind of feel comfy and warm like a go-kart to these guys that for those guys that come from a karting background. It just seems very, very familiar the way they handle and the style of racing they have. John Gara appears to have exited out of the session, so he is out of the race on my timing tower, which is just, it sucks to see, because he was a guy that I talked to in real life all the time, and he was in competition for a playoff spot tonight, and I know how hard he was trying, and one of the guys that is always sure to ask questions and keep up with the series. So if he is truly out, it's a shame to see that he won't make the playoffs this season, and one of those guys that absolutely deserved to do so, because he made it out to every race. He was consistent, he was sportsmanlike, and it's just a real shame to see. So shout out to John if he is out of the race tonight, and hopefully we'll still see him back for the rest of the year, because I know his first podium in our series is coming. I can just kind of feel it. But back to the racing action tonight. I have yet to look at the chat, so I'll try to put that up on the side and keep up with everything there. Sorry, I saw that my mic quality is drifting in and out a little bit there in the chat. I will quickly mention, as we keep an eye on the battle there for 3rd position, actually, between Justin Lewick and Michael Crobach, it's showing up that Andrew Bedrosian elsewhere on track has crashed, but he appears to be in pretty good condition right now. So looks like it was just an individual incident. Now Michael Crobach's going to peek to the outside of Justin Lewick for the 3rd spot. Tries to outbrake him through the chicane. Doesn't work this time, so Justin will maintain the spot there on Michael Crobach. But sorry, as I was saying, tonight I am actually using a Rock Band 4 microphone to do tonight's broadcast. It looks pretty goofy if you could see it in person, but unfortunately I did break my traditional mic a couple weeks ago, and it has yet to be delivered, so thank you, Logitech, for that. But now Michael's going to look to the outside again on, or I guess the inside in this case, on Justin Lewick coming up to the chicane. Justin holds the spot, but he had a crazy entry into the turn there, so going to go too wide. The Michael's able to hop to the inside, and is that Max Preston on the outside? Max is going to go all the way around and take 3rd spot. Justin manages to hold off Michael. Now Justin's going to head into the inside on Max Preston. What a chaotic set of corners there. These 3 drivers fighting for every spot they can, and remember, we still have 1 stage left to go. Max gets loose on the entry, manages to avoid hitting his teammate Justin there, but Justin will be able to get his spot back, but Max gets his spot back on Michael Crobach as well. So Michael's now going to peek to the inside here, coming up into this sweeping right-hander back on right before the entry back onto the banking. Max is going to be able to hold the spot for the time being, but he had a very hard hit off the curb. I think he actually touched the wall there, so might affect his momentum. Doesn't appear to. Justin is actually starting to pull away a little bit. He's now that he's finally away from that little battle they had going on there, making his almost a 3-wide pass there between the 3 drivers of Lewick, Preston, and Crobach. But Lewick was the beneficiary in that little incident there, and he will be able to maintain the 2nd spot. So Michael is kind of in the draft here on Max Preston, but I think he's a little bit too far back to get a pass going through the chicane this time. So, for the time being, no luck from Michael Crobach, and he'll have to wait 1 more lap if he wants the chance to get the pass going here on Max Preston. But with that being said, let's look back in the field a little bit. As we've been focusing on the top 5 so much. Let's head back to the 6th spot here with Jordan West. Jordan making it through the chicane pretty well this time. He's actually, I think, besides the incident earlier with him and Justin Lewick, he seems to be running pretty good lap times. I'm actually going to put up the last lap time graphic once he comes around, but just to see what kind of lap times guys are running now that all the chaos of that first little stint has evened out. But yeah, you can see they're running a 1:33.3 last time by. That's almost faster than Justin Lewick is running third. It's faster than both 4th and 5th place Max Preston and Michael Crobach. So just because guys are a little bit further back right now, actually hits the outside wall there on the entry to corner 1, but manages to make it through okay. But yeah, just as a result of the stage cautions, I mean, nobody's really out of the race unless you run into quick repairs. Speaking of running out of quick repairs, looks like Rich Foligno is, I thought he was going to head back to the pits. He's going to head out entirely. So he is now dropped out of the session. He is now completely out. So we've already had 2 guys drop out of tonight's race early. Devin is still in the pits, has yet to return. I would have thought with a quick repair that he'd already have come in from his toe. So you got to wonder what's going on with him. But, well, again, as we see, that makes Jordan West almost the last guy on the lead lap, as Andrew Bedrosian and Manuel Gara are both drifting back towards the clutches of the, I guess I'm trying to think of a good metaphor. Basically, Logan Pax is catching up quickly to both of them, and the possibility that he could lap them in the next couple of laps is serious if they aren't able to pick up the pace, because Logan here, he's putting down, I think, well, what was the lap time that he ran that last time by? A 1:32.3. So Logan is running insanely fast lap times, and again, absolutely no discredit to those that do get lapped by Logan, but it just seems that road courses like these, he's just got a pace that even I can't imitate in my practice efforts. He's always been the one to inspire me at road courses to try to get quicker and practice more for these events, because I see his times in practice, and it's a daunting task for sure. But we're now going to head up to Woody Mahan again, and once again making his debut in our series, and in his only race ever in the Karts Computers Racing Series, in our All-Star race this season. He did finish second, and that is where he sits at the moment. So, well, Woody always has the potential for a good finish here, and knowing his history of Iracing, it by the sounds of it, he's a pretty dedicated veteran of the series, and again, sounds like the Dallara IR18 is specifically his specialty, but I mean, the Skip Barber in a lot of ways is somewhat similar in the open wheel style to a Dallara IR18 car. So, Skip Barber, there's always the potential for anybody to win, but well, Woody was pulling away from Justin Lewick behind him, and now Justin is starting to catch up more and more to Woody for the second spot. I'd say that probably within 6 or 7 tenths is where you'd have to be coming up onto the banking in order to get the slipstream to work, coming down into the chicane up here to make a passing opportunity, but such a wide track. I mean, if you kind of swiggle and swerve and try to stay out of the slipstream of the guy behind you, there's always the possibility that you would be able to maintain positions if no guys are able to get the slipstream. Logan Paxa, I think, just had an incident. It just showed up on my telemetry. He wasn't even fighting for a position. I'm not sure what happened to him there. He's got minor damage as well. This is just a moment ago, coming out of the chicane there on the backstretch, coming up behind Manuel Gara, dives to the outside to make the pass. Manuel just kind of slips up and makes contact with him. That was bizarre. It's almost as though he didn't know he was there, but you can see the piece there sliding down the track of Logan Pax's car. He gets back up to speed, and he's coming down pit road this time, so apparently serious enough damage that he had to come into the pits for it. Again, remember that we are about to have a competition yellow in a couple of laps, but well, Woody Mahan will take the race lead, but he's got Justin Lewick right behind him. Now the top 4 of our race now separated by about 1.5 seconds, so again, great racing in tonight's race, and an entertaining experience for sure. Manuel Gara was lapped, even though Logan did make contact with him. Looks like Woody will also lap Manuel, so now only 7 drivers on the lead lap. But again, as we come through the inner loop here, I think this is corner 6 now into 7 right before the banking. But Lewick is right on the back bumper of Mahan, and we're about to get it back up onto the slipstream-filled bank section here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the part that they use for the normal oval that we even ran earlier in our series this season. But right up behind is Justin Lewick. We'll see if the slipstream is able to be powerful enough to power him either up the inside or the outside. We'll see which lane he decides to pick. Curious to see where Woody decides to defend. I think this is the first time he's had to defend coming into the chicane all race, so they're going to try the over and under. Lewick's going to peek to the inside. Lewick is going to throw in a bunch of speed, almost goes sideways, bounces off, loses the back end, manages to save it. What a save there by Justin Lewick coming through the chicane. That's how you wheel the car, but now Woody Mahan isn't even your new leader. Max Preston is your new leader. He'll now power down on the inside, coming through the final part of the banking here into the, I guess you could say, first or last chicane on the track. But they're still side by side. Woody's still peeking to the inside. He wants to get that spot back quick. He appears to be able to. Now Justin's going to enter the pits this time. Only 2 opportunities left for guys to pit on this current stage. So our competition yellow coming up in just a moment on lap 15. But now Woody Mahan is going to take the race lead back. Great racing we've seen here at the start of this first stage. So now Jordan West will move up to the top 5. Logan Paxa, who's now already pitted for I guess just fuel. I was going to say fuel and tires, but nobody pits for tires here in the Skip Barber series. So Michael Crobach now only a second back. There's still potential he could win the stage as well. Reminder, we don't do stage points, so winning a stage doesn't get you any bonuses. But, well, you got to think Woody Mahan and Max Preston are trying to, feel out the way that passing works here at Charlotte Roval and get their competitive edge prepared for the end of this race when they are fighting for positions in championship points. So, well, Woody will maintain his lead at the moment. But again, this is where Justin Lulick actually made a pass on the chicane coming up to that second half of the backstretch that last lap by. But of course, remember how much Lulick, how much speed he had coming into the chicane and just threw it in there, almost hit the outside wall coming through. So if Max is going to make a pass, he's going to make sure he avoids doing what his teammate did just a moment ago. But no, it looks like he decides to play it safe. He's going to let Mahan keep the position for the time being. But Michael had a great entry in there through the chicane. He's going to actually make up a little bit of time on Max Preston, move up about maybe 3 or 4 tenths there through the banking that time. So less than a second separating our top 3 now between Mahan, Preston, and Crobach. Now 2 laps to go when they cross the line this time before the start of our second stage, or at least the caution that separates the first and second. So coming through the chicane once again, everybody going all clean once again. It's good to see the clean level of driving we've had from all the guys tonight. Again, a very difficult track, and I know that the Skip Barber cars maybe don't look all too quick on the broadcast, but I promise you it is tough to wheel these things around the Charlotte Roval. It's a tough but very exciting track. Now Michael's going to peek to the outside here on Max Preston coming into that third corner. One we've seen a little bit of chaos at the past. It was one that last season we had quite a few side-by-side passes, especially ones for the lead late in the race. Of course, Logan Pax is your defending race winner here in the Karts Computers Racing Series entries at Charlotte Roval. But, well, Logan is now sitting in the 5th spot, and really the way we've seen the start of tonight's race go, anybody really in the top 6 has potential to win this thing. Mahan, Preston, and Crobach have almost been locked at the hip the entire time. Jordan West, if it weren't for his incident, he's running lap times comparable to the guys ahead of him. And, of course, don't forget, Justin Lulick was 1 corner away from being your current race leader. Again, he just got locked it up and got loose there in the chicane on lap number 11. So really the potential for anybody still to win this thing with only 2 laps to go in the first stage. There's plenty of race left. Quickly look around the field once again to see if there's any other battles on track. Doesn't appear to be. So Devin Crosby still remaining in the pit lane. I think his efforts tonight are over. I would have thought that if he were just coming back from a tow and a quick repair, he would have been here long ago. So hopefully he is able to make it back tonight. But he is fighting for a championship spot, don't forget. So if he were to drop out right now, that could be absolutely catastrophic for his points efforts. And, well, now all 3 drivers are going to head into the pits on the last lap that they are eligible to do so. So Woody Mahan, Max Preston, and Michael Crobach, your 3 leaders, will all come down pit road this time. Mahan leading the 3 of them across the line this time. And, well, let's see who's going to become your temporary leader for the time being. Jordan West will decide not to pit this time by. So he will come through corner 1, and yeah, that was his last lap. He was eligible to come into the pits. So, well, with that being said, we are on kind of the white flag part of the stage here. We're going to go to a caution in just a moment, but, well, Jordan West will lead the field to the caution next time by. He is, of course, eligible to pit on that caution, but if he decides not to, hypothetically, he would be your leader to start the next stage. So, well, Jordan West, I talked about earlier, he's a little bit of a wild card when it comes to race finishes this season. It feels like he has incidents every once in a while with other drivers, but, well, when he doesn't and he's just able to put lap times down on his own, he's impressively quick at some of these tracks. And, well, he seems to have the line that's given him great lap times here at Charlotte Roval. Is not only will he win the first stage, but again, he's running great laps compared to the guys ahead of him. I think only Logan Pax is running considerably quicker lap times on the average than he is. So, well, he's going to come around the final time for the final lap of this stage. Again, we're going to go to a manual caution in just a moment, so we're going to take a quick break on the broadcast side. But, well, he has the 12 of Manuel Gara up ahead. Now Jordan's going to have to be sure to get by him pretty safely. He's going to hop the curb very aggressively there on the inside, but makes it work, so he will safely make his way by. And now he has only got 1 corner to go. Does he have damage or something? He's falling off the pace a considerable amount, so I think he's going to let Manuel by, but, well, Logan is catching up to him pretty quick. And, well, we're going to go to a caution in just a moment, so Jordan West will, I guess, theoretically win stage 1, and we will go to a caution for round 11 of the Karts Computers Racing Series at Charlotte Roval's first caution of the night. Manuel makes contact with the outside wall. Jordan should still win the stage. Caution coming out momentarily. And we're back for round 11 of the 2020 Karts Computers Racing Series as we start your first competition yellow of the night. As you can see there, Logan Paxa will be credited as the current race leader coming off of that caution flag thrown just a moment ago. Of course, I do throw him just a couple of seconds after the flag comes out most of the time, but we've never had a battle this close for position at the end of a stage, so we'll see as we come across the line that last time by. We're going to go to a replay, but we got to see who actually won that thing because, again, Logan is credited with being your current stage leader, but this is the pass at the line. Look at how close that pass for position was there. You can't even see it from that angle, but look at how close the battle was there for, I guess you could call it the stage one winner. So Logan will be credited with a position, and as we can see there in that little stop motion shot, he is technically he is the official race leader on track as well. So good to see that I didn't botch that call in my attempt to throw a caution. So everybody should be in their proper spots. Justin Lillick also moved up to the 4th position as Preston and Crobach came into the pits, but he was unable to take the spot back from Woody Mahan, who appears to continue to hold down the 3rd spot. So Woody will round up your top 3, and Jordan West, again, will not pit this time by, so pit road must be closed, but guys still running at a fairly fast pace, I guess trying to catch up to the pace car here for your first competition yellow of the night. Manuel Gara will now bow out of tonight's race on lap, I guess that would have been 11, so now 3 drivers out of tonight's race that started, those being Manuel Gara, Rich Foligno, and John Gara, and Devin Crosby presumably doing the same thing as now 12 laps since he bowed out of the race after an earlier contact with Andrew Bedrosian. Well, with that being said, we now have 7 drivers left in tonight's race, and we're going to go to a quick commercial momentarily. But, well, I mean, after 15 quick laps here at the Charlotte Roval, I'm crazy excited to see where we go from here. This has been a great first couple of laps, and again, I don't think I've ever said this and truly believed it, but really anybody, I think, in the top 7 spots tonight could win this thing that are left in the race. So, well, looking forward to see how the rest of tonight's festivities go. Hopefully everybody enjoys watching here tonight for round number 11 of the Karts Computers Racing Series, our season finale here, or regular season finale, I should say. It's been a pleasure to have you. Keep watching, and we'll be back in just a moment after a quick commercial break.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is Iracing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is Iracing.
And we're back for round number 11 of the 2020 Karts Computers Racing Series second season here at the Charlotte Roval. Of course, running the competition yellow laps for our first competition yellow of 2 that we run tonight on lap number 15. You see here your race leader, Mr. Logan Paxa. Let's just pull down all the stuff on the side so we can focus on who comes into the pits this time for your first of 2 competition yellows tonight. But your race leader, but not without a little bit of difficulty there for that first stage, is Mr. Logan Paxa, who, had a very eventful first stage of the race. Remember, he had that incident with Manuel Gara in the middle there. Even though he had broken away by about 11 or 12 seconds, the chaos was not done for Mr. Logan Paxa. But, well, he came down pit road, used one of his quick repairs, presumably, and got right back up to speed, being able to win the stage just barely from Jordan West there at the finish line, coming across for the end of lap number 14. So, well, exciting stuff for sure. We're going to see who comes down pit road this time to refuel, because, again, nobody pits for tires here in the Skip Barber series. The cold tires are just far too rough to bother, so the longer you run a set of tires, the quicker they are, and, well, hence what's the point of pitting for them. So, looks like only Logan Paxa, Jordan West, and Andrew Bedrosian will come down pit road this time, meaning that, well, effectively Woody Mahan will become your race leader when we go back green after the end of the first competition yellow. Going to head back up to the front, and yes, there is Mr. Woody Mahan, and by the looks of it, with the lights still on in the pace car, we have 2 competition yellow laps under yellow to go. So Woody Mahan, Justin Lillick, and Max Preston will become your top 3. That is 1 Lad Pedal R&D driver, followed by 2 JM Motorsports guys. Then the Lad Pedal Blue entry of Michael Crobach, of course, your Constructors Championship leaders at the moment. And Logan Motorsports driver, quite fittingly enough, Logan Paxa in the 5th spot, running at the top 5. Or at least he was. Andrew appears to have passed him on pit road at this point. Logan's still on pit road, so he got one leapfrogged by both Jordan and Andrew. This is a horrible camera shot. Iracing, what is that? But let's just go back and see exactly what happened there. I'm not sure if he missed his box or what happened, but we'll go to a chopper camera and see if we can get a better idea of what happened there. So, well, coming into the pits, it looks to me, upon first glance, that I don't know if he forgot or what, but it looks like he's come in for tires. It doesn't traditionally lift the car up and down if it's not pitting for tires. So you can see the front coming up, meaning that he has changed tires there. So, well, by the looks of it, that would be what lost Logan all that time. As you see, the two guys up behind him are not doing the same. They're just pitting for fuel. So, yeah, you'll see Andrew exiting the pits momentarily and then Jordan after him. So, well, I'm not sure if that was just a mental error or if he actually felt that he wanted to pit for tires intentionally there. But whatever the reason may be, Logan Pax will now move to the end of the line of drivers still left in the race there on the lead lap, that being the 7-car field we still have tonight. So, well, we'll see if Logan's going to be able to move back through the field. You can see him trying to warm the tires up all he can. So, yeah, I have the feeling he did just accidentally come in for tires that time because, again, as I mentioned, traditionally you don't want to in the Skip Barber series because the longer you go on a set of tires, the more warmed up they get. And tire wear isn't per se a thing on the Skip Barber cars because the tires are built like rocks from the Stone Age. So they're more focused on long-term conservation rather than actual speed. So, well, he will do his very best to try to get back up to speed here and warm him up for all he's worth. You can see how far he's drifting back from the field just in an attempt to get those things as warmed up as possible. Lights on the pace car are still on, so we're going to quickly go through the field. I just saw there briefly a moment ago during the caution, David was just asking how the trophy race last weekend that I talked about went. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Got a little bit busy on the Monday there and was unable to go out for the Labor Day trophy race off at the track in Hamilton. But, well, I am going racing again tomorrow. It's been a pretty good series or season so far, for those of you that are curious. I started the season off with 2 wins, but unfortunately the last weekend I went out. Some car troubles combined with just unfortunate what do I call it? I don't know. So unfortunate in race luck just meant that I had to settle for a 4th, but there are definitely worse places to finish, especially in a field I think that had 10 or 12 guys or something. But overall, not a bad race. So looking for a even better finish tomorrow, and this is one of these races that I'm kind of jealous I could be at. So tonight I think would be, with how similar the Skip Barber cars are to a real go-kart. As we see the lights on the pace car coming off, so only one more lap to go in this competition yellow. But seeing as how close the Skip Barber cars handle as compared to a real-life go-kart, the way that you can get the back end around and how it's important to drive the car even more than you would any other car just because of how much you got to seesaw the wheel to get the car around corners, especially with a lot of the understeer that you have some of the time with the Skip Barber setups, with, again, the tires lacking for grip. I've always found that practicing Skip Barber on iRacing is kind of a nice warm-up for having go-kart races the next day. So, well, hopefully my karting luck improves tomorrow, and well, for the foreseeable future, I guess we can make it a weekly segment where I update you guys on how my real-life karting career is going. But actually kind of a, well, possibly an exciting announcement to come up in the next few weeks. Essentially my prospects for series to broadcast on not this channel, but I know I talked about last week and hopefully my attempts in the future to broadcast different series and maybe turn it into a bit of a more widespread channel rather than specifically this series. Of course, this series, if it were to continue, would remain to be broadcast by me as I have been doing. But looking to start just a more general channel that can host a variety of racing series, not just the Karts to Computers series. So when this comes to an end, I'm still in the prospects of looking for what will be my next opportunity to commentate and bring you guys live streams of certain racing series from around the world. But yeah, I'll just say I'll keep it broad. But let's just say that I have a few series in the works that I've been working on, and hopefully the prospect of a new entry on this channel or a channel just like it hosted by me will be coming up in the near future. So I'll be in the talks if I do get something else going with all the drivers in this series. So, well, there's the possibility that one of your favorite drivers from this series could be joining another one that could be something very similar to this, or, well, who knows? iRacing is a huge platform, and there's always the potential for whatever kind of racing series you could possibly ask for. So just keep it tuned in, and I'll update everybody on if there's any future for some of these guys going to a different series that's also produced by me in this similar format. But, well, with all that out of the way and all that being said, we can now go back to green here in just a moment here at Charlotte Roval. And Woody Mahan will take us to the green for the first time in this race. Of course, your second green flag start. First taken by race leader at the time, Logan Paxley, your pole sitter tonight. But again, he has moved back to the end of the 7-car line left of drivers in this race. Michael has to narrowly avoid Max Preston there, trying to get his tires warmed up there on the banking. So it looks like no damage coming out of that. But, well, we are getting ready to go green here at the Charlotte Roval. The pace car will take the hard left onto pit road in just a moment. And Woody Mahan will be the control car for the first time in this race. So Mahan, Lulick, Preston, Crobach, Bedrosian, your top 5. After that, Jordan West and Logan Paxa will round out the field. Getting ready to go green here for the second time here at Charlotte Roval. Mahan will take the field through the chicane the second time in tonight's race. Green flag here at the Charlotte Roval for round number 11 of the Karts and Computers Racing Series Season 2 and the regular season finale to see who will take the final 6 spots coming into the playoffs. A narrow avoidance from Justin Lulick, who slides out real wide coming there through turn 1. He had a huge send there on Woody Mahan there on the inside plan, but had to back out there in an attempt to avoid an incident. Everybody appearing to make it through pretty clean there at the start, but Logan Pax is already flying through the field quick. He made the pass on Jordan West almost immediately, and now he's in there on the slipstream on Andrew Bedrosian, but now West is going to peek to the inside once again. He is not giving up. Jordan's got the inside line, but I think he's a little bit too far back to take the spot. So, well, it looks like Pax is going to slide in ahead and maintain his 6th place spot. But up ahead, Woody Mahan still has Justin Lulick breathing down the back of his neck with Max Preston right behind. So the 2JM Motorsports teammates will see how much they actually do decide to team up and work together in order to get spots tonight. But honestly, the way I've seen them drive all season, they're 2 very aggressive guys that can run really quick here at the road courses. So honestly, if I'm honest, I don't think we're going to see them being too polite to each other here. Now, Luke's going to look to the inside of Mahan. He'll make the pass work here into the chicane, but remember earlier, he got a little bit loose in the middle, and exactly the same thing happened that time. He just comes in with too much speed and loses momentum on the exit. So now they're going to go side by side, all stacked up. The 4 cars right next to each other. Crobach almost tried to look to the top side that time, but was unable to make it work. Now Mahan will head to the outside. Lulick still has the inside position for the time being, but Preston decides to go with Mahan instead of his own teammate. Interesting choice there by Max Preston, but he's going to sit on the inside line, so who's going to be able to make it through in the chicane there? Almost spun around. Woody Mahan will go around. Tapped by Max Preston, manages to woe it up in time and avoid the barrier, but again, I knew the way that those guys were coming into the chicane there, we weren't going to see a traditional happenstance corner that time. We were going to see something chaotic, and we just did. So Woody Mahan is the unfortunate, whatever the opposite of a beneficiary is from that incident, but beneficiary is Justin Lulick's, you could say, current status is, well, he will move up to the top spot and now take about a 1.2 second lead, which for how close the racing has been throughout the broadcast so far, that is commanding, as you could say, because we haven't seen a guy lead by that much in ages. So, well, Lulick will almost accidentally I guess that was Preston that would have just barely tapped Mahan, I think, that time. But well, again, it was just kind of a racing thing where 4 guys coming in that close to a chicane, just waiting for something to happen, and something happened. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. None of that was grammatical, but in the chaos there somewhere, Andrew Bedrosian will move up to the 3rd spot. Logan Pax will move up to the 4th spot. So, well, Mahan will drop down, of course, the 3 spots or I guess it'd be 5 spots that he lost as a result of that incident. But Michael Crobach also missing a rear wing. Not sure what happened to him. Well, maybe we'll have to ask him post-race if we get the chance. But somewhere in the chaos there, I think he just, I think he maybe made contact slightly with somebody that checked up through the first corner. I'm honestly not sure, but well, in all that chaos, Andrew's going to gain the 3rd position, but maybe not for long. Logan will look to the inside this time. He's going to think about a pass to the inside in the chicane, but instead decides to wall up. Andrew does not. Massive contact with that outside wall. Andrew doing almost an identical move as Woody Mahan did just a moment ago, right after pit entrance as well, is the worst part. But again, we'll do a quick replay on there because that was kind of one of those things where, if I'm honest, you can tell when guys come into a corner like that. We're going to go from the finish line camera we have here set up, but kind of reminiscent if those of you that watched the NASCAR race that they did in the first time ever at the Roval in 2018, where we had a crash on the last lap there coming through that final chicane. Very similar incident there for Andrew Bedrosian, just kind of locked up in his attempt to hold off the spot from Paxa. And sometimes if you focus too much on the car next to you, you lose sight of the track in front of you. And well, in the process there, Woody Mahan will make the pass back as well. So looking live here, it looks like Andrew will still maintain the 6th spot. Jordan West is just a couple car lengths behind him in 7th, but well, Woody Mahan will, for the time being, at least move back up to 5th. Still has yet to come into the pits to repair his damage. You can see how bent that rear wing is there. But as you can see that time as he came by the wall, he's running a great, very close to the inside wall line there. So Woody Mahan is very aggressively trying to make up the pace that the ground that he lost just a moment ago in some of his chaotic incidents that he's had to go through at the very beginning of this race, including, of course, the obvious crash just a moment ago with himself and Justin Lulick for the battle for the lead. So, well, Woody's got some ground to make up, but again, we have one more competition on lap 30 to bunch the field up one more time before the end of the race. So if he can just hold it out 9 laps and not let Justin Lulick, our current race leader, go by and lap him, then he should be okay to try to fight for the remainder of this race and try to fight for position. Heading back to Andrew Bedrosian and Jordan West battling for 6th. Bedrosian's going to tap the rear left of Jordan West. Not sure if he just got loose as a result of car damage or what, but West will be able to continue, but I think Andrew's going to have to come into the pits this time. Actually decides against it. You can see just how obvious the front nose damage there on the Skip Arbor car of Andrew Bedrosian is, but no, he decides to stay out for the time being. So back to the race at hand. Again, Justin Lewick is still your current race leader by a pretty convincing margin, but the battle from 2nd to 4th there is continuing to rage on. Max Preston trying to hold off Logan Paxa, who's already gained 4 positions in this current stint. Of course, passing Jordan West almost immediately there on the start. Actually going to tap the outside there is Max Preston in his attempt to build up speed for the banking. So that'll lose him a little bit of the momentum he was trying to build so desperately there, but now Logan's going to look to the inside, and with more momentum, I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion. He'll take that spot coming after the chicane, but well, if Max commits to the draft pretty quickly, then he may be able to make the pass back on the outside, which he might be able to do this time. They're going to go side by side coming out of the chicane. Crobach's going to commit to the top line, try to follow him in, but he's going to have to check up just like Max Preston does. Looks like Preston came in with a little bit too much speed there from the slipstream he picked up on Paxa and had to woe it up, and so did Michael. So Michael still missing a rear wing, but doesn't seem to affect him all that much. He's only 4 seconds back of the race leader and only a second back of the very quick and fast Logan Paxa and Max Preston. So, well, for the time being, he's going to stick with that battle. And again, he kind of made up time there in the banking. So, kind of amazing how little a rear wing seems to matter on these Skip Arbor cars. But Preston's going to wash out to the outside coming through the chicane. Now, an opportunity for Michael to maybe make a pass coming up to corner 1. Took a peek to the inside there, but Preston was able to conserve enough momentum to hold off the spot for now. So, well, for the time being, Logan will hop up to the 2nd position, and now he's got about a 4-second buffer up to Justin Lewick ahead of him, if he wants any hope of regaining that lead that he lost at the, I guess that he lost on the pit stop cycle there on the first competition yellow. Remember, I guess he accidentally pitted for tires, or again, maybe it was an intentional thing, but to my knowledge, there's almost no benefit in a 50-lap race for pitting for tires at any point. So, could just be a strategy call there that backfired, but well, he's making up for it right now, and he's pulled away by about 6/10 there. Max Preston behind him on the slipstream there on the banking is pretty powerful, but I think that's a little bit too far for Preston to get it to work. So, well, Paxa will pull away for the time being, but Justin Lewick is still pulling away by bit here, and I mean, we'll look at the last lap time by the next time they come around, but as Lewick heads through the backstretch chicane that time, he's going to extend his lead by about 3/10 that time through the backstretch. So Logan's catching up a little bit now. Maybe Justin just caught too much of the curb there on the chicane, but well, Justin, again, as a reminder, has never won a race in the Karts Computers Racing Series, but tonight in a race in which he does have to maintain his 5th place championship playoff spot, which he does have a pretty convincing points gap to the guys behind him that he's battling with, but tonight was still a very impactful and important race. He is doing everything he can, and I know Logan caught up a little bit that time by the first chicane, but well, Justin has a pretty convincing lead by this point, and again, as the master of, as I've called him a couple of times, defensive racing, he just seems to have a great defensive line wherever we go at these road courses. Well, Justin's going to be a force to be reckoned with there, trying to take his number 1 spot away from him, and tonight could be the night we see Justin Lewick finally pick up his first race win in our series, in a series where he's had so many podium spots. He's come so close in the past, and he's kind of been one of the most friendly faces in our series for a little while, so it'd be a pleasure to see him get a win for the first time. But well, the battle here between Max Preston and Michael Crobach there for 3rd. We saw Michael make the pass just a moment ago, but well, Max was able to get the move back, no doubt as a result of what you'd probably wonder, his rear wing still being on the car, which cannot be said for Michael Crobach. And again, I'm amazed he's running as quickly as he is with that wing so clearly detached. But well, for the time being, Michael's going to sit in the slipstream and try to make the pass back. But again, you got to wonder what the results in terms of downforce are of not having that rear wing. Now he's going to peek to the inside. Is he going to be able to check it up before Max does and make the move cleanly? He will, but you see the lockup there. Huge tire smoke, going to bounce over the inside curb, narrowly avoids the outside wall, but he's going to lose momentum there by coming that close to the wall. So now Preston's going to peek to the outside. Thought about a move, but doesn't quite have the momentum off the chicane to make the pass right now. Going to go side by side there through the banking. Only 5 laps to go before the first competition yellow. Not much time to work with here, but might just be enough for Max to get his spot back. He's going to peek to the inside, side by side through the chicane. This hasn't worked yet tonight, but it will this time. Max makes the move on the inside. Great move by Max Preston, back up into the top 3. So the top 3 will remain a kind of a JM Motorsports sandwich there with Logan Paxa in the middle. Paxa, again, isn't actually making up ground to Justin Lewick anymore. He got a few tenths that first time by when I started mentioning him, but since then he's kind of stalled out and plateaued, and it's been a pretty convincing or pretty consistent 4-second gap for a couple of minutes now. So, well, Justin Lewick, this is one of his best runs he's ever had, and well, he's motoring up there in the number 1 spot there, and again, like, I don't know if it's a case of just those older tires there for Paxa, as again, he did come in for tires presumably on that last stop, but whatever it may be, Lewick actually made up a little bit of ground there through the infield that time by. So again, all 7 drivers that started this stage are still in the lead lap. The furthest back is Andrew Bedrosian, who I think came into the pits, and if he didn't, it's just as a result of his incident earlier. Yeah, you can see the damage to that front nose still hasn't been repaired, but well, with only 4 laps to go when Justin crosses the line this time, I mean, he has very little laps left for Justin to make up the 50 seconds it would take to lap him. So not a bad strategy by Andrew if he wants to maintain his quick repairs for the rest of the race, because again, 2 quick repairs is here at Charlotte Roval where there can be so much chaos, especially in the last segment when everybody's going to be going for positions more than ever. That's a precious commodity and not one that you want to give up too easily. So not a bad strategy call there by Andrew. He's going to continue to ride there in the back with a very damaged front nose, but well, he's making it work, and we'll see how he's able to fight there on the very last segment, provided he's able to make it through without losing a lap. But back up to the 3rd spot here, Max Preston is once again going to be defending from Michael Crobach. It looked like Michael had backed off a little bit, but he made a huge ground there through that very end of the last lap there on lap 25. So by no means is this battle for the 3rd spot over for that podium position going into stage 3. But again, Michael missing a huge chunk of his rear wing, so amazing that he's able to keep the downforce necessary to make it through some of these corners, especially keeping the speed that he is on exit with Max Preston, who, again, Max is running great lap times. It just looks like Michael is able to keep up for some bizarre reason. And again, Michael was almost, I think, 2 seconds off the pace in qualifying, but seems to just be so good at race pace on these road courses. We've seen it a couple times. I mean, remember it at Spa earlier this season where he came away with the win there. Partially as a result of chaotic caution stints, but he just seems to get this pace in the race that, I don't know, I think his long-term pace is always quicker at road courses than short-term is what I'm trying to say. And well, now he's going to peek to the outside for a brief second there on Max Preston again, but Max will hold the spot for the time being, both making a pretty good entry here into the chicane, and both will avoid the inside wall. So well, we'll see if the slipstream's strong enough to power Michael through on the inside through the chicane, just like Max did to him a couple of laps ago. The possibility is always there because, again, these Skip Barber slipstreams are kind of the most famous aspect of the car that makes them so fun to drive on ovals, and even more so at Rovals. Going to peek to the inside this time by, but decides to slap back in. Well, he peeked to the inside a little bit, but actually loaded up crazy hard on the inside. Almost tried to pull like a reverse over and under through the chicane, but decides against it. Now he's going to peek to the inside in corner 1. They're going to go side by side on entry. Going to have to load up real hard. It looks like Max was able to counterbalance for it and drive even further into the corner than he normally would, but he'll hold the spot for now. But the longer these 2 guys battle, the further back they go. Logan is still not making up ground to Justin, but he is pulling away from the 2 guys behind him. Woody Mahan, who again did have an incident earlier there at the start of the stage, is a little bit too far back to make up ground at the pace they're going right now. But again, this battle is by no means over. Neither guy's tried to pass in this intersection yet, but well, it looked like Michael got a little bit loose there on entry, but he's getting great speed on exit. So even without the rear wing there, I'm not sure what he's doing that is able to get so much speed through the corners, but it's working, and Max pulled away a little bit that time coming back onto the banking. But Michael, again, not too far behind. If the slipstream is powerful enough, he might be able to get him here through the chicane. He's thinking about it. He's making up a little bit of ground. You can see it pretty visibly there. But yeah, looking to the outside, is he going to be able to make the move work? Max is going to come up to cover on the outside there. Both guys check it up in time. No lockups this time. So good to see guys are adapting as the race continues on and more grip gets in those tires. Great exit there for Max Preston. Just narrowly avoids the wall. So he's hitting his marks as best he needs to, and the only way to counteract these slipstreams is to run even better in the tight inside corners. So, well, props to Max Preston. Now Michael Crobach is going to come into the pits this time by. I totally forgot, but this is the last lap in which drivers are eligible to pit. So, well, Michael will come down this time and will be the only driver to decide to pit before the final competition yellow. So, trying to think about the fuel tanks in these Skip Barber cars. I think it would still be mandatory that he run one more pit stop in the remainder of the race. So again, the very thing that you are trying to avoid here in these Skip Barber cars, the way we've set up the competition yellows, is a like a green what am I trying to say? Like a green flag pit stop. It's the last thing you want to do because the amount of time you lose coming in under green as Jordan West is kind of demonstrating right now, moving up to the 4th spot as both Woody Mahan and Michael Crobach pit this time by. See Crobach passing on the inside there, but yeah, kind of the last thing you want to do is come in too early and put yourself at risk of having to come in for a green flag stop, because that's 40 seconds completely wiped off the board. And if guys are able to take one last stop than you are, well, that's pretty much your race over no matter what, no matter how quickly they're able to run. So, well, Justin will continue to hold the race lead. Actually, sorry, we do have one more lap to go when it comes to drivers being eligible for cautions here on lap 28. Looking back in the field a little bit, we have a new entry. Marshall Crocker Sr. will return to the track there in the 24 car. So remember, he was unable to start, but, well, he's been able to get on the track now. So the number 24 Gatorade entry will hop out there, and with several drivers exiting the race very early on, as we see Justin Lewick coming in this time. So Logan Paxel will now take the race lead back, as he's the only driver left at the lead of the field to not pit on this current stint. Max Preston also coming into the pits this time. So the 2 JM Motorsports drivers decide this is their lap to pit. One more lap to go left in the stage, but, well, again, Marshall Crocker returning to the track. I know he's 29 laps down at the moment, but, well, with guys dropping out as quickly as they did, he's only, 11 laps back of Manuel Gara, and he would take the 8th spot. And with 20 laps to go, I mean, he would have enough time to make those passes if he were able. So, coming into the pits this time, though, is Marshall Crocker Sr. So, not sure if that was a tow or what, but, nope, just coming into the pits this time. The last lap he's eligible too, so I guess doesn't hurt, might as well. But, well, again, one more lap to go here. The final time through the banking before the final competition yellow, and then our kind of 17-lap dash to the finish. But Jordan West will pit this time. Again, the last lap he's eligible to. So as they all factor out, I believe it'll be Paxa, Lewick, Preston, Crobach, Mahan, West, and possibly Bedrosian. I think Bedrosian will get West through the pits this time by. So, yeah, Bedrosian's going to make the pass on Jordan West for 6th. So as Logan hits through the chicane one more time here on the backstretch and gets ready to take the second and final competition yellow of the race, the top 7 as they drive right now should be your top 7 when we come back to green. And then don't forget, Marshall Crocker has returned to the race and should be able to finish it off and get some meaningful laps and maybe come away with an 8th place spot. But at the end of the second stage, it's been a chaotic stage for Mr. Logan Paxa, but he won the first stage and he'll win the second one too. Competition yellow here at Charlotte Roval. And now the caution is out here at the Charlotte Roval for the second time in tonight's race, and the final time as well. But it looks like everybody came in for their pit stops early to the point where they don't really need the competition yellow at all. Interesting to see what guys will come back in for a little bit more fuel in the hopes of avoiding another pit stop throughout the rest of the race. So, well, you got to think that if guys are able to make it to the end of the race tonight and certain guys aren't, that could definitely change the way in which guys approach the race, because there is a lot of fuel to be saved here if you take the right lines here at Charlotte Roval. So I am unable to confirm what the pit cycles actually are. I think it's somewhere around like, what would my guess be? I think it's about 22 laps that you can run on fuel in a perfect scenario. So it'll be close, but I'd imagine guys will be, if everybody universally comes into the pits this time, I'd imagine one by one guys will decide to come in for more fuel and try to end off the race as best they can. But again, it all comes down to setting yourself up to be in the best place possible for this final segment. And with 7 guys still in the lead lap, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, all eligible to win this thing, because guys have run so close here in lap times. And with the slipstream, especially at the beginning of these runs, if Logan doesn't get a huge jump, if he is on the lead, if he's in the lead at the start of this next segment, he's still at the beck and call of the guys behind him, because the slipstream on the banking is big enough that he could lose a spot in the chicane even if he hits every mark perfectly on the first lap back. So still tons of racing here to go at Charlotte Roval. I'm excited to see what we have going on here in the final 17 laps, but the drivers will all stack up once again, get ready to go green in just a couple of laps. I'll keep you updated if anybody does come into the pits in the meantime, but we're going to go to a side-by-side commercial for a brief moment, and we will be back at Charlotte Roval for the 11th round and the finale in our regular season here for the Karts Computers Racing Series Season 2.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is Iracing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is Iracing.
And we're back here at Charlotte Roval for round number 11 of the Karts and Computers Racing Series Season 2. Just narrowly managed to get my water in time there. I had to go grab more, as I've said in the past, but while racing as exciting as these requires several water breaks for the commentator, especially when he's doing it on his own. So I'm just going to take another quick break here. Maybe we'll do a little bit of an onboard shot here with your current leader, and will likely be the leader coming back to the next competition yellow, Mr. Logan Paxa. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back from another quick little water break there. But in the meantime, a kind of a surprising development here. Logan is going to head into the pits this time by. So David actually called it in the chat just a moment ago, saying that Logan had to pit one more time. So by the sounds of that, then, you'd think all the field would need to, unless he were only a lap or two off. But I would have thought if it was only a lap or two, there'd be the possibility that he could just try to conserve fuel on his own and not need to come in one more time. But well, I guess he just decides it's the safe play. And really, I mean, track position is important generally speaking, but honestly, if there's any guy that I think could move up through the field quickly enough to maintain the or to come back and get the win in this race, and only probably 17 laps here at the Roval, it's Mr. Logan Paxa. That's just kind of what he does here at road courses. And I mean, we saw it in the last stint, coming all the way from the back of the main 7-driver line all the way to winning the stage again. So I guess it'll be an 8-car line this time by. I'm not sure if he'll start behind Marshall Crocker Sr., who is, I was going to say a 1 lap down. He's 28 laps down, but again, that's why, sorry, I've talked about it a little bit, but that's why you never count yourself out here in the Karts and Computers Racing Series, because Marshall didn't start until lap, would have been number, he's 28 laps down, so he would have started on lap 28. But even still, starting less or more than halfway through the race, he's already made up 2 spots, and only 4 laps will get Rich, and only 7 laps will get Manuel. So when guys inexplicably drop out, there's always the potential for guys to join the race as late as they want. So you can see me there on the bottom of the timing tower. Technically, I could hop in right now. I mean, iRacing doesn't limit when you're able to join races. So, you know, you hop in, you take a guaranteed 8th place finish. I don't think it'll be high up enough to get a championship spot, unfortunately. Devin should be able to come away with the points necessary to hold down his spot, but or actually, I guess he'll hold down his spot compared to Marshall. But now I'm trying to think of what would the championship points be in terms of playoff spots as a result of tonight's finishes. So Justin, if he's able to hold the lead, so this is all hypothetical in terms of the positions they hold right now, but Justin being your current race leader, his spot would be punched automatically. He would, he's already got a pretty good gap to the guys behind in 5th, and then he would move even further up as a result. Actually, he may be able to even leapfrog Rich Foligno for the 4th place spot in the championship seeding for bonus points. But after that, would anybody pass Devin Crosby for 6th? I don't think so. No, because Manuel, John, and Marshall are the only guys fighting with him. Marshall is 16 spots back. So my dad would move up a couple spots. I think he'd be too far, but he'd have to go for bonus points, I think, if he'd want to make the pass there. But if he were able to get both Manuel and John, I think he would guarantee himself the 7th place spot, and then he'd be even closer for the Best of the Rest championship, which does have prize money on the line, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I mean, there's no way you can make up 28 laps after 28 laps of the laps in a race that is 50 laps. But again, he should be able to get a free 8th place position, provided he's able to keep it clean until, I guess that would be lap 39. So yeah, I mean, as we come to the finish here, none of these really matter for playoff spots. This kind of just becomes an exhibition race, but what an exhibition race it will be, as again, I think the lights of the pace car are off. So yep, one more competition yellow lap and the final caution lap of our race as we get ready to go green here for our final 17-lap sprint at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I've checked a little bit on the chat the last couple times. Let's just look a little bit back in the chat. But Justin Lulick has got some pretty good support tonight. So hello there to all the Justin Lulick fans. And well, if there was ever a night to tune into one of his races, tonight is the night. Justin has kind of just had a commanding hold on the race at certain points throughout the event. And remember earlier, I mean, he was pulling away from Logan Paxton, holding down the lead spot. So Justin's got legitimate pace, and if he thinks he can make it to the end of the race on fuel, and he is confident enough that he can start here and just focus on hitting his marks and pulling away with that number 1 spot, we could be about to see Justin Lulick get his first win in the Karts Computers Racing Series. And what a time to do it. I mean, in a race where he needs to get points to hold down his championship spot, his playoff spot in the top 6. Well, this is the best way to do it. So back onto the banking one more time here on the current caution stint. Getting ready to go for our final 17 laps of the race. Hopefully all of you guys are excited for the final little segment we've got going here. Only 17 to go, and hopefully you guys are enjoying your Friday night here with the Karts Computers Racing Series. I know it's we had a little bit of a break there the last 2 weeks that we were away, but again, one race every Friday for the rest of the month, and then we'll be done at round 14 at Darlington to finish off our series and announce a Season 2 champion. So again, thank you everybody who tunes into the broadcast and sits through what can occasionally be full of technical difficulties and me having to use rock band mics and such, but it's always a pleasure to host, and it's always a pleasure to have all of you guys watching. So I'm glad that everybody's been enjoying by the sounds of it, and just generally hopefully you guys have a great final 17 laps of the race, and I'm just hoping for great racing here. We've seen great racing so far, and genuinely I think anybody could win it at this point. So on to the final half of the banking for the final time. Just going to take one more quick break here, and sorry, not like an official break. I'm just going to take one more quick water break because I know I'm going to have a very busy time for 17 more laps, and let's just get ready to go here for the final time. And we are locked up at what's the saying? I don't remember it. Stacked up, doubled up, ready to go. Singled up, I guess. No double file restarts here in the Karts Computers Racing Series. The pace car is in on the left. Justin's going to immediately take the green flag. Doesn't even wait for it. On the loud pedal immediately. Look at the jump he got on Michael behind him. Justin went as soon as he saw the opportunity and has already pulled away by about 4.5 tenths there on the restart. So Justin Lulick will jump up and already take about a half-second gap. He's pulling away still, coming through the first corner, but well, a little bit further back in the field, Michael is almost immediately under attack from Max Preston there for the second spot. Max is going to try the over and under. Takes a piece of the curb there, so he'll bounce back and we'll move back to the third spot. Back in the field a little bit, Woody Mahan, Jordan West, Logan Paxa, and Andrew Bedrosian have all separated a little bit. So for the time being, the closest battle on the very first lap will be between Crobach and Preston. But JM Motorsports is in this first and third place spots, and Michael Crobach's kind of in a JM Motorsports sandwich here. So I mentioned a little bit earlier that Justin Lulick and Max Preston haven't seemed to work together in the past. They're two very aggressive guys going for race finishes. So, I mean, if I'm Michael, I'm just going to kind of get out of the way here. And if I can't catch Justin, then I'd maybe think about letting Max Preston loose on Justin Lulick, because the two guys that have run so quick but are so aggressive at the end of races, there's always the potential for something to go down. And then if you're in the catbird seat in the third spot, you could take the position that way. And, well, the best way to take a position is to avoid a crash, as I've always said. So, well, Michael's just going to narrowly avoid the wall, but Max got a way better run there off the end of the chicane. So Max is going to have a run there. Now in the slipstream on Michael Crobach, is he going to hop to the high side and think about a pass going too wide? He is indeed. So, well, Max, if he's able to get a tire up top there, would effectively have the inside line coming into the chicane, but I think he will this time. He's going to peek underneath. They're going to go side by side into the entry. Michael's going to hop to the outside, locks it up. Lets Preston by, lets Mahan by. Crobach is going to bounce again. Now Paxa might get him into corner one. Paxa with his, he's going to go straight down the inside. Enough momentum to make the pass. Now Mahan thought about a pass to the outside of Preston, but we'll have to wait for the time being. And the number one thing I notice as I see these guys battling around for the 2nd to 5th spots is Lewick continues to pull away. Now a 2-second gap to Preston behind. So the number one thing Lewick wants to see at this point is the guys behind him battling it out. Now that was Mahan that dove a little bit wide there, almost onto the grass there on exit of 4, but managed to keep it on the track. Now Preston is going to try to defend this time through corner 5. Mahan is pushing for everything he's worth. I think trying to make a pass there on the outside happened, but going to have to wait for the time being now as he comes back up onto the banking. Great entry for Preston, but an even better one for Mahan. If he gets the slipstream going here, he might make the pass, but Pax is even closer to Mahan than Mahan is to Preston, so anybody could take that 2nd spot in this straightaway. I'm curious to see who will have the advantage coming into the chicane. Mahan's going to head to the outside this time. Who will Logan Pax side with? Pax is going to go up with Mahan. Mahan on the outside of Preston as they come into the chicane. Side by side goes Pax and Preston. Preston checks up, almost hits Pax, and Preston dodges to the outside. Manages to avoid, but Michael Crobach will make the pass as well. So in an attempt to avoid, which is probably the smart move, but Preston, in his attempt to be a little bit conservative, did have to let Paxa go by, almost making contact there side by side in the entry to the chicane. Now Pax is going to hop to the high side. He is not making this thing easy for the guys around him. Now he's going to go to the inside of Mahan. He should make the pass pretty handily. Great breaking point for him. Crobach almost hit the back of Mahan coming into the entry of the chicane. So Paxa jumps up to the 2nd spot, and now with 15 laps to go, he's got 3 seconds ahead to Justin Lewick, who continues to pull away. This, I think, will be the battle for the lead here between Justin Lewick and Logan Paxa, at least until they would hypothetically have an incident, at which point it's really anybody's race again. But, I mean, Logan is going to fly way to the outside, get a huge run out of the corner, but he almost hit the outside wall there. That is the furthest I've ever seen anybody take that corner on the outside. Andrew was in the pits this time by, not exactly sure what happened there, but it just looked like he didn't quite get up to speed comparatively to the guys around him there on the restart. So he'll come into the pits. I guess he won't lose any spots because he's still too far ahead for Marshall Crocker to make the pass on him. So he's got a guaranteed 7th place spot in tonight's race. But again, this battle that has now become for 3rd. Crobach just seems to be I was going to say the bee in the side, but that's not an analogy. What is the term I'm trying to think of? He's just a thorn in the side of the drivers around him all race, but he just seems to always be there in the slipstreams waiting for something to happen. And I'm curious to see if Michael in one of these times through the chicane here just decides to make a bold move here. And him and Woody are good friends, but he came right up in the back of him that time by. But the two guys that really formed the original Lad Pedal team coming into our series before that was ever a thing. Woody, to my understanding, is the first driver to ever win a race under the Lad Pedal kind of affiliate that runs professionally on Iracing. So, well, Woody has a history with Michael, and the two of them are good friends. So it would be surprising to see Michael do something kind of too rambunctious there down the inside of the chicane, but they've gone clean this many laps, which is impressive in its own right. I mean, again, Roval is a very busy track here in the Skip Barber series, so it's a lot like karting in a lot of ways. And whereas in karting, when you have proper bumpers there, you always have the opportunity to hit guys without the repercussions of crashing, but you kind of don't get that advantage here in the Karts Computer Series in our Skip Barber races because contact can be absolutely huge. We've seen it multiple times throughout the race. Think the Bedrosian and Crosby incident earlier, but kind of the last thing you want to do, especially with a new teammate and a guy that you just recruited to the series, is take him out in that chicane. But again, Michael, he's looking for any points he can get, and if he finishes ahead of Paxa, maybe 2 or 3 spots, he would be the number 1 seeded driver coming into the playoffs, which does warrant bonus points. So many things to think about here for Michael Crobach. But in the meantime, we haven't really talked about it much. I think Lewick is starting to lose ground with the guys behind him. I'm not sure if he just ran a specifically slow lap one time, if he just made a mistake somewhere. But yeah, the last time by running a 133 flat, which isn't bad. But look at the lap times the guys right behind him are running. All of the guys from 2nd to 6th, nobody running slower than a 132.7. And most of them running in the 132.4s. So I'm not sure if it was just one mistake or what, but Justin Lewick doesn't have the benefit of a draft partner. So, well, now it just becomes, okay, how well can he hit his marks in an attempt to stay as far ahead as he can from the guys behind him? But again, once Logan Paxa gets up on the slipstream there on the banking, maybe I'd think about 0.7, 0.8 seconds back, then he's got the potential to make a pass for the first place position anywhere. Paxa made up a ton of ground through that first chicane that time, or the final chicane that time by. So 13 laps to go. Justin Lewick fans got to be biting their nails right now because this one is going to come down to the wire here. Again, Lewick is making up a ton of ground, but again, Paxa is making up a ton of ground, I should say. But Lewick has that famous defensive line I've talked about so many times in this series, especially in Skip Barber races, that means you should never count him out of a position until he's actually given it up. And again, he's not exactly pulling away from him this time, but I mean, we saw a couple laps ago, he was making better lap times than Logan was, and earlier in the race, he just seemed to find that speed on the long run that was benefiting him a lot. So narrowly avoids the outside wall there. I think Logan had a little bit of a better exit there through the final corner onto the banking. I think that's corner 7 or 8. But yeah, just keep an eye on that timing tower. You're going to see Logan's number get lower and lower. Going to drop to about 0.8 this time. Now probably into the 7s in a moment. Yeah, into the 7s. So you can see the effect of the slipstream live there, folks. And now they come through the chicane this time by. We're actually going to go to our kind of fancy chicane camera that we have set up as you see your 2 leaders go by. Then Mahan and Crobach, followed by Jordan West. And in the background there, I believe that is... no, sorry, that was Max Preston, then Jordan West. So I'm trying to get some dynamic camera angles set up here. But Lulick is still your race leader for the time being. Going to go to our other dynamic angle as we see the guys coming up through the final chicane there before the start-finish straight. You see your 2 leaders coming through. Now 6/10 this time by, and Alton now back to 7. That gap there is getting closer and closer between your 2 leaders. And, well, I don't mean to discount the battle happening behind them as well between Woody Mahan and Michael Crobach. But, well, for the time being, I think the 2 guys that have showed the most pace throughout the race are about to get in battle for the lead. And I can't think of anything else I'd rather show than that. So Justin Lulick and Logan Paxa, again, they're going to come through that wide sweeping corner this time where I think Lulick seems to get a bit of a better exit there. Just narrowly avoiding the grass, but going wide enough that he gets as much momentum as he possibly can. Now this time back onto the banking. This is going to be a very pivotal turn in the race. As if Justin messes this up and Logan's able to get the run, this may be what he needs. Logan's going to go right to the wall this time by. So 5/10 again. Keep an eye on that timing tower because you're about to see that gap shrink by quite a bit. The question is, where will Lulick put his car in an attempt to defend? Again, actually, I think he's a little bit too far back, so I don't think Logan will get him this time. I'm starting to think that maybe 4/10, 5/10 is more so the gap to which guys are going to be able to make passes there in the slipstream. But again, look at how much ground Logan made up on that straightaway and how close he's got. Actually, a little bit of an aggressive bounce over the curb there, but got a better exit for sure that time. Made up about 2/10 there on entries. So again, that defensive line better come into play right now as Paxa with a huge run on Lulick. Get a peek to the inside. Lulick's going to push him up as far as he can get him to go. Lulick is going to keep him up real high. You can see that defensive line coming into play, but side by side, bouncing off each other. Lulick is going to, for the time being, hold his position, holds him off. What a move by Justin Lulick. Even going to flick the back end. One might say that was a little bit aggressive for a defensive move, but wow, that was, oh man, that was close. Lulick is fighting for spots all he can, and again, Logan doesn't need this win. He's proven himself so many times this year. He's your points leader. If he just holds this spot right now, he will be your regular season points champion. He doesn't need this win, but you know that it's just the driver's mentality and how aggressive some of these guys can be and how competitive any racing driver is that, well, he wants this win bad, and Justin is going to want it even worse because, again, with 10 laps to go, you know all the fans he's got here in the YouTube chat, and he's looking for his first ever Racing Series win. Or Karts Computers Racing Series win, I should say. The guys behind him are starting to catch him once again, but well, I haven't even talked about it yet, but in the meantime, Michael Crobach made the pass and Woody Mahan just a lap ago. I think he did so in that second half of the banking there coming into the chicane right before we saw Logan wash out on the start-finish straight just a moment ago. But Bedrosian is actually out of this race entirely, so Andrew Bedrosian has dropped out in the 7th spot. Again, unfortunately, Marshall Crocker behind him is too far back to possibly make the pass there as well. But Michael is catching up to Logan there on the banking that time by. He made up a ton of ground in the slipstream. And again, I think generally Logan has been better at hitting his marks throughout the race, but again, the skip arbor slipstream, if your racecraft is good enough that you're able to make creative moves happen into the chicane here and on the backstretch, you can make a pass pretty much anywhere here at Charlotte Roval. And again, in the slipstream, if he's able to get a good entry into the corner here, he might get him up into corner 1. But no, Logan just hits like picture perfect entries into the chicane there. I'm not sure how to describe them, but well, Justin will maintain the lead here with now officially 10 laps to go left in the race. But I'm going to quickly drop out there for a moment. Should be back. There we go. Sometimes guys can just drop in and out with their internet connections, but well, he is back, and well, so is Logan Paxa. He has gained about 2 seconds since that moment ago where he kind of slid into the outside wall in that battle with Justin Lulick. But Jordan West appears to have crashed elsewhere on the track. No visible damage for him, so he will continue to hold down the 6th spot. With Andrew out of the race, he's now officially guaranteed himself at worst a 6th place finish. So good work for Jordan West tonight. Even if he's a little ways back at the top 5 battle, he's not by any fault of his own tonight. He's at a great race, and 6th place points certainly won't hurt in the overall championship points going forward. But Well, now Logan is about 6/10 back. We're going to go, well, semi on board. We're going to go to this kind of chase camera thing we have here and keep an eye on how much ground he makes up on Justin Lewick coming here through the chicane. And again, I think he's just a little bit too far back to ever make a move from this position. You'd have to have like the corner entry of all corner entries to make the move there. Justin's Wi-Fi is getting worse and worse. He's starting to phase in and out. It's hard to keep an eye on him on the broadcast, but you got to wonder if it's doing the same thing for Logan Paxa. And I can tell you from personal experience on Iracing, it is super disheartening to try to make a pass on a guy that you can't constantly see. But look as he like drops in and out. I mean, if I'm Logan, I wouldn't go for the pass on the inside this time, and just the same way he decides against it. But now he's going to try the over-under. Lewick is going to have to defend hard if he wants to hold the position. Pax is going to dive all the way to the inside. He's going to have a horrible entry into corner one. Again, Lewick holds it, but he's got to keep an eye on that outside wall. He does make it his way through, but how hard is he going to try to hold him off this time? Once again, keeps the spot through his corners 1 and 2. So again, it's that Lewick defensive line that is so hard to get by. Justin will just put the car anywhere he needs to in an attempt to keep positions. And now as we come up to corner 4 here, great slipstream. This is the biggest one I've seen by Logan Paxa all race, especially in this part of the track. Thought about it that time by, but Lewick just got a better entry to the corner. Michael Crobach in a totally different zip code to anybody else in this battle, but now Logan's going to head to the inside, coming back onto the banking side by side. I've never seen a side-by-side pass in that corner until right now, but look at the 3 cars on the banking. Anybody could take the spot coming up to the chicane this time by, and well, again, Logan's got a huge slipstream to Lewick, but Crobach might have an even bigger one on Paxis. Now Paxis is going to head to the outside of Lewick. Lewick's got the inside line coming up to the chicane. Will he defend hard? He will. He'll hold the spot for the time being, but Crobach might get a better exit off the corner. Paxa got a little bit sideways there as he came across the inside wall, so he kind of lost it a little bit on corner exit. Don't forget about Woody Mahan, who's also making up ground too. Anybody in the top 4 could win it in any, or could take the top spot any second. And don't forget about Max Preston, just a little bit back at the back of the shot there again. So the top 5 guys, all within a second and a half of each other. Anybody could win round 11 here at Charlotte Roval. I can't wait to see what happens the rest of the race, but now Lewick is going to defend the inside into corner 1. But the question is, will Paxa kind of try a bit of a half over-under thing? He might indeed. He's going to head to the inside, side by side through corner 2. Lewick on the outside. This is the first time he's been in a position where he's lost a spot in ages. But now he's going to head to the inside. Almost taps the inside of Logan Paxa, but they make it through clean. But again, the slipstream on the banking never counted out. Lewick is going to slip up into the grass a little bit. Now Crobach might have a chance to get him this time. Lewick still in the slipstream there. Look at the top 5 cars in this battle for the lead. This is one of the best battles we've seen in the entirety of the Karts Computers Racing Series. Now Lewick's going to slide to the outside. Crobach almost made the pass there, but Pax has got about 5/10 on the guys behind him coming onto the banking this time by. Is that far enough that Lewick won't be able to get the slipstream? I don't think so. We're going to go on board with Lewick and keep an eye on him, and in just the same way we did a second ago with Logan Pax, to do the chase view here and see how much room he makes up on the slipstream here. Where will Lewick put the car? Or more so, the question is, where will Paxa try to defend? Look at Crobach behind. Don't forget about him. Lewick thought about a pass to the inside. It's going to have to walk up. Paxa's going to get wide. He's going to spin around. Logan Paxa, unprovoked, goes around in his attempt to avoid. Doesn't hit a wall or anything, and I think he avoids all the cars around him, but Logan Paxa's around. That completely changes the status of this race, and with no cautions, well, Logan's race just got a lot harder if he wants a chance to win his 6th of the season. But just like that, Lewick is back in the lead. Now it'll be 7 laps to go, this time by the start-finish line. But again, the top 4, the closest we've seen him in all race, and really in any race I've ever seen in this series. I have never seen this late in a race 4 cars so close for position. And again, Logan's back up to speed, only 9 seconds behind. And you saw how quick he was just a moment ago. I wouldn't count Logan out. Even 9 seconds back. I mean, the guys ahead of him may have a draft, but you've seen just how much cars can slow down in this race if they're too preoccupied with traffic around them. So, again, this is going to be a crazy, chaotic final 7 laps. We haven't seen a pass here all race, so I think we're just going to have kind of a caterpillar train of cars going up into the back onto the banking this time by, and then that's where the passes will start. Again, Lewick always seems to drift out a little bit wide in this corner, which always gives an advantage to the guys behind him to make up room coming back onto the banking, but well, the cars are going to fan out here. Preston's going to go by the inside this time on Woody Mahan. I think they're going to go side by side a little ways back. Let's keep an eye on that battle instead. But I think Woody was able to drop back in front of him. But look at how close behind Preston is with the slipstream. Anything is possible coming up to the chicane here. Preston still right behind here on Woody Mahan. I don't think he got the slipstream he quite would have needed to make the pass here on the inside. But got a much better entry to the corner. I think he got a much better exit as well. No, he just barely had to dodge to the right to avoid the barrier, which will scrub a little bit of speed off on exit. So, again, he's got the slipstream once again, but Mahan, for the time being, will hold that third-place spot. But now Crobach back in the slipstream. Keep an eye on the timing tower. You see how much closer Crobach's getting. Thought about a pass to the inside, but he's a little bit too far back. Luke's just got to focus here and hit his marks. Crobach loses the backhand hard coming into the chicane. Kind of felt reminiscent of what we saw Logan Pax almost do just a moment ago, or what we did see him do in the other chicane just a couple moments ago. But now 6 laps to go left in tonight's race. Again, Justin Luke fans, they must just be on the edge of their seat because Justin has had almost everything thrown at him in this race. He has not had an easy time there at the front, and well, he was able to hold off Logan multiple times, and then Logan just went around a moment ago, as we saw. And again, with the intensity of trying to defend spots left in this race, especially at a track like Roval with so many passing opportunities, I can't blame guys at all for just going around in an attempt to get any pace they can out of the car. And Logan is making up ground about a half a second every lap, but he's going to have to pick up the pace if he wants to make all that ground back. But Crobach made up a ton of ground on the inside line there, coming through the exit of the infield there. So Crobach is hitting his marks that he needs to, and now he's going to think about a pass to the outside on Justin Luke. I don't think he's tried one here all race, so Crobach's going to head to the outside. Almost cleared him. They're going to go side by side on the entry into the chicane. Manages to keep the spot, so Luke will hold down first for the time being. But Woody Mahan got a huge run off the outside of the should I say the exit of the final chicane. So he's getting closer and closer to Crobach. Again, I talked about before the relationship that Crobach and Mahan have. You got to wonder how aggressive are they going to be in an attempt to pass each other. But Mahan kind of dropped off a little bit that time. Luke holds the spot. He's going to drift way too far to the outside there on exit. That's going to give a little bit of ground to Crobach. Will it be enough to think about a pass to the inside? Crobach thought about going down the inside, but instead Luke is able to hold the spot once again. Luke's ability to keep speed up on the outside is very, very impressive, and he's not afraid to dive the car in, even with the car to his inside, and he's making it work. All 4 cars right to each other's back bumpers as we come through corners 3 and 4. But this is one of the best ending battles we've ever seen in this series, possibly the best. Again, Luke holding down the spot for the time being, but 8/10 you could throw over the top 4 guys. That's a blanket's worth of track position right there. So again, anything is possible here in the Karts Peters Racing Series, and if this race doesn't prove it, then I don't know what will. But again, Logan Pax is still making up ground to the guys ahead, but now Mahan is going to try to think about a pass on Crobach. You've got to think this is the closest we've seen him in ages to a guy in front of him, so he's going to go to the outside. Thought about it, now going to go back to the inside, get a little bit more of the slipstream and prepare for an entry into this corner. Coming into the chicane again, we've seen plenty of passing opportunities. Crobach checks up, almost hits Luick, locks up the tires. Now he goes around. We saw Paxa just a moment ago. Now Crobach will go around and lose time. Well, Pax will be able to get Crobach in just a moment and maybe take back the 4th spot. But for the time being, this is one of the craziest podiums we've seen this late in a race in forever. It's Justin Luick, Woody Mahan, and Max Preston. So Luick looking for his first win, Mahan in his first race in the series, and Max Preston, who's never even had a podium in this series. So a crazy battle for the finish happening right now. And well, as we come across the line, 4 laps to go, Luick only a second ahead of Mahan. So this thing is by no means over. And with the slipstream there, I mean, if Luick slips up just a couple of corners there in the infield, as they come back onto the banking, again, about 4 or 5/10 is the gap that I think you'd need to think about a pass in the chicane. And Woody has yet to make an aggressive move in that chicane, which has been the pivotal passing corner all race, which is why I kind of think there's a chance that, well, I don't know if he would be able to go, or I don't know if he would try to go for the move, especially not in his first official race in the series. So the question is, how aggressive is Mahan looking to be? And again, he's catching up to Luick there in the infield this time by only 4 laps to go. So I mean, if I'm Justin, just focus, hit your marks, and try to finish this thing off in style. But again, Max Preston, the catbird seat, he's dropped back a little bit this time through the inner loop. He's losing ground a little bit to the guys ahead, but he's far enough ahead of the guys behind in Crobach and Paxa that if he just sits where he is now, I think he'll maintain his podium spot and get his first podium in the history of the series. And we're going to have some very exciting interviews with a lot of new guys. But Mahan went to the outside there. Luick holds the spot once again. Great entry as well for Justin Luick into the chicane there. So it'll be 3 to go at the line. But Mahan again got a great run back in the slipstream, only 2.5 back. Again, anything can happen here. No, Mahan's going to head to the inside. Luick leaves the inside open this time. Huge run for Woody Mahan. Look as he just flies by. He's going to clear him clean. So Woody Mahan with 3 to go will take the pass back on Justin Luick. Luick's going to look to the inside. Very late entry to the corner. They're going to go side by side through the chicane. Lulick holds his spot once again, and he got him back. What a move there by Justin Lulick. Now, Mahan's going to think about the inside, decides against it. But holy crap, what a race we've been having here at the Charlotte Roval. Lulick, again, even like defense isn't all about holding a spot. It's also about instantly taking that spot back when you get past. And Lulick is doing every attempt you can possibly think of when he's close enough to a guy to make moves happen. So now Paxa and Crobach are going to go side by side through corners 4 and 5. Crobach will get his pass back. He lost the spot just a moment ago to Paxa, but they're going to be side by side, or at least I thought they were. But looks like Crobach is going to, or Paxa is going to slide in behind on Michael Crobach this time through the inner loop. So 3 to go. We'll see what happens when they get back on the banking. But back up to the lead. Lulick is broken away by a couple of tenths there, 4.5 to be exact on Mahan again. So this is the exact gap we saw Mahan make a move on last time, and a little bit further back. But again, the slipstream is really powerful, and we've seen just a moment ago that Mahan is willing to make moves there in not the most obvious passing locations. So sometimes you got to think about a pass to the outside here, which is unconventional, but sometimes they work. But Lulick is going to slide up a little bit too much. Mahan comes inches away from hitting his rear tire off the outside of the chicane exit wall. But again, we're going to have 2 laps to go here this time by, and nobody is counted out of a win here. I mean, again, Paxa, I think, made the move just a moment ago in the banking and is now starting to drive away from Michael Crobach for 4th. But I think Lulick should be able to maintain the spot. But with 2 laps to go, we've seen how quick Mahan can make up time. We've seen how quick Preston can make up time to the guys ahead of him. And if we see a crash here between your top 2, Max Preston could get his first win and get his first podium as his first win. So potential for anything to happen here in the final 2 laps. Let's see how Lulick does through the inner loop this time. Mahan's been making up ground in the very beginning of the infield section here, the last couple laps. So again, Lulick's just got to hit his marks, try to avoid the outside grass in this particular corner. He makes it perfectly, but Mahan is getting even better corner exits. It's like he's taking what Lulick's doing and making subtle changes that make it even quicker in his own efforts. And again, you can see how close he gets to the inside line there, which is the optimal line in my own efforts. So I think he's got the more optimal line on Lulick there. Now Mahan is going to get a great run there back onto the banking. Almost hits the outside wall. Had to check it up a little bit. But 2.5 tenths, the second to last time, we'll head through the chicane. Again, I think this is your number 1 passing opportunity besides the final chicane if you're Woody Mahan. So where will Lulick defend? He's going to think about the inside. Mahan's going to dip below the line. Bounces off a bump. So Lulick is going to head to the outside. Is able to clear him again cleanly. I don't think he pushed him below. Technically, as NASCAR oval rules go, pushing somebody below the inside line there is technically illegal. But I think he dipped late enough that defensive move I don't think is penalty worthy, especially not this late in a race where anybody's fighting for spots. So Mahan, I don't think took damage bouncing off one of those inside bumps they have. We're going to go white flag this time by. 1 more lap to go. Can Lulick make it around one more time and hold off Mahan? Maybe 1 or 2 more times in an attempt to get his first win in the Karts Computers Racing Series season. But yeah, you got to wonder if Mahan is going to have any damage at all. The little bumps that they have on the apron of these ovals, especially at Charlotte Motor Speedway, to prevent guys from going too quick, exiting on pit exit. I think that was what Mahan hit, and with how strict these damage simulations can be for the Skip Barber Series, but going over little bumps like that and making little damages to the car. You got to wonder if that's going to affect Mahan, but it doesn't seem to. He made up more ground this time by on the inner loop, so he's going to slide a little bit too far to the outside. Paxa made the move back on Crobach. They've been trading spots back and forth. We'll go to them in just a moment, but final time onto the banking this time. Only 3 tenths separating Lulick. He's a little bit further ahead than he was the last time, but as it pertains to slipstreams, that's not always what you want. That seems like the perfect spot for Woody Mahan to make a move. So 1 more time, Lulick needs to defend here. What's the plan? Is he going to go inside 1 more time? Doesn't decide to, so Mahan's going to go to the outside. Lulick makes a quick move up to the outside, thinks about defending. Side by side into the chicane 1 more time. Lulick with the inside line, a very aggressive block there you saw a moment ago. Bounces a little bit hard off the curb 1 more time through the final bank turn here in the turns 3 and 4 in the traditional oval as we come to the final chicane. Mahan's going to head to the outside. 2 more corners to go here at Roval. Round 11, regular season finale. 2 drivers looking for their first win in the series. Can Lulick hold them off on the outside line? Side by side coming up to the final chicane. Who will it be? Sends it in late. Justin Lulick makes the move. First corner, second corner. Justin Lulick wins for the first time in the Karts Computers Racing Series at Charlotte Roval. What a finish. Holds him off. Woody Mahan. Absolute respect to both of those drivers. Paxa should be able to hold off Crobach a little ways back. He will indeed, so Paxa will come home with a 4th. Crobach will come home with a 5th. But what a finish there for Justin Lulick and Woody Mahan. We're going to go through that one more time because I almost couldn't keep up there at the very end. So let's break down what happened there in that final chicane as we wait for the last couple drivers to finish up here. But so side by side, Justin is going to be on the outside here. He's going to have to send it in hard if he wants to make the move, which he does, just barely clears him on the inside. And the reason I was so careful about mentioning those two corners is because you've seen Justin a couple of times throughout the race try that same move. It almost spun him out earlier in the race when he tried to come in with too much steam, hit the curbs too aggressively, and bounced over him. That's exactly what... who was it that went around? Was it Michael Crobach? Or no, he went around on the backstretch. But we've seen a couple of guys just lose it there. We're going to go do one more replay. But we've seen a couple of guys lose it there coming through those that section of the chicane there with the very aggressive curbing that you see here a lot at Charlotte Roval. So we're going to go to the finish line cam one more time as you see the guys in the background coming up towards the finish line. But perfect move by Lulick, just nails his braking point, gets the car slowed down enough to avoid the outside wall. You can see in the background how hard Preston is on the gas pedal coming through the final corner. And a battle there was going on there in the final chicane as well for Paxa and Crobach, but Paxa with a very similar move to Lulick, just on an inside the line, but is able to load the car up enough to make the corners. And he comes away with the fourth place spot, but Justin Lulick will come away with the top spot. We got to go to your victory celebration if there is one. Somebody just absolutely blew up in the background. Who was... Oh, it was... okay, we're just going to do a quick replay of whatever the heck just happened there. That is too far back. Oh, there's a bit of a... Okay, well, this works too. There we go. But the two teammates there for JM Motorsports, Justin Lulick and Max Preston, deciding to do a little bit of a symbolic showing there. Again, the two JM Motorsports drivers qualifying or finishing on the podium for the first time all season. Preston's never had a podium in the series. Lulick's only had one this season, so... A huge race in the points for JM Motorsports. That should put... Oh, my goodness. There is Logan Paxa. Wow. That was actually, hilariously smooth that he managed to avoid both drivers and wipe out in that much of the track in that area. So, well, Logan is making... He always makes the end of these races exciting. Whether he wins or not, he always has some fancy celebration prepared. And, I mean, it's almost like he spends more time practicing for that than the racing. But, I think he probably ran the fastest lap of the race. So even that sentiment isn't true. But... Well, Preston will head into the pits, and I think Lulick was doing his victory donuts just a moment ago. I think I can hear in the background he's doing them as we speak. No, he's just parked on the finish line. So actually kind of a fitting spot if that's where he decides to do his interview. Let's just throw one more time to this visual. I think that's kind of a perfect place to leave it for Justin Lulick's interview in just a moment. But, yeah, he's come off the track. And, well, with that being said, man, I think I need a moment to just process what we just saw. That was... one of the best battles we've ever seen in this series. And wow, I mean, congratulations to Justin Lulick. Congratulations to Woody Mahan finishing second in his debut. Congrats to Max Preston getting his first podium of the series. There are so many storylines to go over in this race, but well, let's just throw up your race results for the time being, and then we'll go over all that in a moment. So your final race results tonight. This is a very shaken up looking results graphic as compared to usual. I mean, so much going on in this race. We'll go over it driver by driver, but for starters, Justin Lulick, the defensive masterclass he put on tonight, he had to defend Logan, he had to defend Michael, he had to defend from Woody there at the very end, but he made it work. He made, I'd say, generally pretty clean moves most of the time, but wow, I mean, comes across the line for his first win of the series. I'd imagine we're going to have a very excited Justin Lulick in the interview section in a moment, but well, hopefully all the Justin Lulick fans in the chat we had tonight enjoyed what they saw. And after that, Lad Pedal R&D debut driver Woody Mahan for the first time this series. And well, usually we're used to seeing Andrew as the guy in the podium for Lad Pedal R&D, but well, in a night where I think he had a little bit of adversity and had to drop out of the race early, Woody Mahan was there to pick up the slack for his team and coming across the line for the first time in our series. And again, I talked about earlier in the race, I wasn't sure if I'd heard in his background he was much more of a IR18 guy than he was a Skip Barber guy, but well, apparently he's a jack of all trades. It's a great race for him in his debut, and he will take the second spot. I'm looking forward to having my first interview with him as well. Speaking of first interviews, Max Preston, his first time ever on the podium. I think he's run about 7 or 8 races this season. He's debuting in this season of the Karts Computers Racing Series, but whether it be like just internet dropouts or what, it feels like a lot of the time he isn't able to finish off races. But well, tonight he was able to do it, and he did it in style, and he was as close as he could be to the two guys ahead of him who were just getting in the slipstream every single lap and running great lap times even in a battle. So well, he tried his best and was just seconds away from winning his first race of the season, let alone getting his first podium. So Again, great, exciting podium finishes in tonight's race, and I'm looking forward to all those interviews. But just narrowly beating out Michael Crobach for fourth position was Logan Paxa, who I know it's unusual to not see him on the podium, but after the incident, he had a couple laps before the finish there on the backstretch chicane. Again, I heard in the chat, I think from David, that it might have been contacted with Justin Lewick, but I didn't personally see anything. That could just be the way iRacing shows collisions sometimes, or especially in cars with small hitboxes. It's tough to tell when guys do come together, but yeah, whatever the case may be, Logan made up the time he needed to, and a little bit of adversity is nothing for Logan Pax, as we weren't in the past in this series. So what for other drivers may have turned into a 6th or 7th place spot when he went around, it turned back into a 4th place spot, and that should clinch Logan Pax's his title as the regular season champion. That will have the first seed going into the final 3 playoff races. But speaking of seeding, number 2 seed there, Mr. Michael Crobach, rounding out the top 5. He will be the 2nd place seed going into the final 3 races of the playoffs, and 2 of those races are definitely specifically tailored towards him. If you think about his experience in the series, I mean, Daytona is one that's really anybody's race if you're able to avoid crashes for long enough. But as the All-Star Race winner, he did pick Darlington for the playoffs, so having a little bit of extra bonus point buffer there from the guys behind you, it won't hurt for those final 3 races for Michael. So even though it's a 5th place spot, which by his standards may be a little bit low, it's nothing that it's nothing that should get his confidence too low going forward, as he had great battles all day. And again, if he hadn't spun there on the backstretch there towards the end of the race, I think he had the potential for a win tonight. But after that, speaking of potential for a win, Jordan West also just narrowly avoiding getting put a lap down, but a little bit of adversity for him in that last stage as well. I was unable to keep up with all the battles happening on track, what happened to him, but he was running quick throughout the day at certain points, and I genuinely think he's another guy that, if the day had gone a little bit differently, could have been fighting for a win tonight. But 6th place points won't hurt, and unfortunately he won't be one of your playoff drivers this season. But I mean, 3 races left in the season, and championships or not, you still want to win races in this series. As well, now Justin Lewick joins a very prestigious group of guys that have won a race in our series. I think it's 5 or 6 guys only. So well, you got to think Jordan's going to be trying his best going forward, and he's one of those guys I think could do pretty well at Laguna Seca next week. But after that, Andrew Bedrosian, who was unable to finish the race, I think his first DNF this season, but a DNF in 7th spot, is that really a DNF for Mr. Andrew Bedrosian? Again, his teammate Woody Mahan is proving his worth to the Lad Pedal R&D team tonight. But again, a great race for Andrew overall. Another one of those guys that when we had those battles between 6 or 7 guys at the lead of the group, he was one of those guys just factoring into that train there. And again, if we had seen a few more incidents tonight, I think he had the potential for a top 3 finish tonight. In a track that I know doesn't particularly suit his specific experience. I know he's much more of a NASCAR and an IndyCar guy, but well, he did his very best tonight. And 7th place points should hold down his 3rd place spot going into the playoffs. But rounding out your finishing drivers tonight, Mr. Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, who only came into the race on lap number 28, but still managed to come away with 8th place points in a field of 12 guys. So again, never count anybody out in the Karts Computers Racing Series, and he ran the laps he needed to get some positions, and he'll come away with the 8th spot. I don't believe he'll have a playoff spot going into the playoffs, unfortunately for him, but well, it's been a great season for him, and he came so close. And speaking of coming so close to a playoff spot, I don't think Manuel Gara will be able to take one either. I think Devin finished just close enough behind him to maintain his 6th place spot in the playoff points, but I'll confirm that in just a moment. But yeah, Manuel Gara, 9th place position tonight, came so close. One of those guys that throughout the season, I think the most improved for sure was Manuel Gara. He just got closer and closer to even podium potential, let alone top 5 for Dive League Motorsports there throughout the season. So a great season for him. And for those of you that I don't know if you heard in our last broadcast, but Manuel does these broadcasts from Portugal, meaning in terms of time zones, he's up until like, what is it? Probably 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning over in Portugal to do these races. So huge shout out to Manuel Gara. It's a pleasure to have him, and well, it's impressive dedication, I got to say. So coming away with a 9th place spot, and I believe he'll actually finish 7th going into the playoffs. I think he would be the last guy out of the playoff spots there in terms of points. So great season for him. Rich Foligno, who didn't register a qualifying lap, started from the tail of the field, exited very early. I'm not sure why he did. I think only one incident that I don't think would have put him out entirely, so I'm not sure what happened there. Same as I don't know what happened to Devin Crosby or Jean Gara, who also dropped out of the race tonight very early on laps 3 and 4 respectively. But Devin Crosby is the only driver in that... Rich Foligno as well. But I was going to say he's the only driver in that bottom, I guess, 5 to make the playoffs. But That's not true. Rich Foligno will as well, but we'll go over all the final championship spots going into the playoffs in just a moment after our interviews. But speaking of which, sorry if I rambled on a little bit there, ladies and gentlemen, but well, now we got to focus elsewhere as we head into the interviews for tonight's race, and I've got to prepare because we have some new faces in the interview booth tonight, starting off with your third place finisher and his first time on the podium in our series, Mr. Max Preston. We'll just wait a quick second and we'll pull him into the booth. And there we go. We are all hooked up and ready to go for your first interview of the night with Mr. Max Preston. Hey, Max, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going there, Mr. Max? Your first time in the commentary booth tonight for the podium interviews, coming with a third place spot tonight, and really very narrowly just avoiding a win there. That anybody I think in the top 4 or 5 could have won there at the end. But well, your first ever podium in the Karts Computers Racing Series. Congratulations, good sir. But you had a great performance there overall. It was a very action-packed race here at the Charlotte Roval, but going in, I know a lot of the guys in our field ran this race last season in our first season, and we've done very few Skip Barber races, and I know you've missed a couple of races, whether it be tech things or whatever, but you just missed a couple of races there, and I don't know what your experience was with Skip Barber or with the Roval going in, but in a race where maybe the deck was stacked against you in terms of experience, you came away with a podium. Just what gels with you so well about about Charlotte Roval, and how did you just have so much pace tonight?
It's a great question, Marshall, because first of all, the Roval is not an easy track whatsoever, and I think Justin being my teammate, both on the Karts Computers Racing Series as well as him and I having a lot of experience together in real life driving shifter. Both him and I said that this is an awesome track, right? It would be a great karting track in real life. It's a great Skip Barber track in iRacing, and to answer your question. I didn't have a ton of practice. I think that really hampered my chances there in the last couple laps for a win. But at this point, I just focused on making sure that I was staying behind everyone's draft. I was trying to pick up some pointers and lines as we were doing the race. And I'm really happy to say that we kept it tight, and I was happy with my speed the entire time. But definitely missed out on the little bit of speed near the end to fight for the win. But it was a super action-packed race. Don't know if I've been that sweaty yet. Both in real life racing and on iRacing, but I'm really happy with how this race went. The series was great. The action was just nonstop every single lap, and I don't know if I've had that much fun racing before, but certainly tonight was one of the top 5s for me easily.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, tonight was, I think, some of the best battling we've had in the series in a long, long time. And you factored into so much of it. I mean, we had battles all throughout the race, even at the very beginning of that first stint. Do you just want to kind of talk about what was your mindset coming into tonight's race, especially when you found out early that we were going to be having so many battles? Were you trying to shy away from getting into too many close packs early in the race out of fear of getting in an incident too early, or were you going for positions at the very start of the race, trying to get any track position you could?
I did make a pretty substantial mistake on my fast lap in qualifying, so I knew that going into the race itself, I had a bit more speed than what I initially showed in qualifying, as in I was lapping in practice there. But in all honesty, the opening laps of the race, I knew that Michael, myself, and Bedrosian were going to be moved through the pack pretty fast. So I just made sure to make sure that there's enough room on both sides of my wheels there. Make sure I didn't get into any trouble early on in the race. But just judging by how everyone was racing, all the fights that were going on, the crisscrossing, I knew that at some point, competitors ahead of me were going to drop off. So near the mid part of the race, let's say after lap 10, really started to just sort of sit back and just wait for everything to unfold, just kept in the draft, just kept racing. But at some point, Michael and I started going really at it throughout the entire race. He lost a rear wing. I had a front nose damage. And so making the decision to pit halfway through was a sound one, because both Michael and I came back, and it was a fantastic race right to the very end. But certainly strategy was at play for this one. Didn't want to cook my tires way too early. Didn't want to get into any trouble at the start of the race, because I knew it was going to be it was based on the opening laps that it was going to be a tight one. It was going to be pretty hairy the whole entire time. So I just made sure to finish on the podium, you got to finish the race first, right, Marshall?
Absolutely. And tonight that was easier said than done, especially seeing how much difficulty some of the top guys had. I mean,
absolutely, it was a tight race. Even though even though I was holding back a bit, still made sure that I had to put down some super fast laps to stay with the lead pack and make sure that, if I lost that draft, that would have been it for me. So that was the mentality for me, was making sure that we just stuck in the pack the entire time. Supporting Justin out there in first. Congratulations to him, by the way. Phenomenal drive on his part. And I'm happy to say that, my first time on the podium after missing a couple races recently, I'm really happy to be back in it, and I really look forward to the next season, the upcoming year.
That's awesome, and I mean, excited as you should be. Getting a podium in this series is something that very few guys are able to do, just because of, well, really just
very tough.
Yeah, how experienced some of our guys are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone's so fast. That's what I have to say about the series. I mean, I hope the numbers keep increasing, but to put it a bit bluntly, Marshall, damn, everyone's so fast in the series. So that's why it's a great night for me here.
They most certainly are, but I'd say you've added your name to the list of guys that can say that, because I've talked about you a couple times this season. I even said, I think earlier this season, specifically at Watkins Glen, in our race then, but you were running quick in practice and you were so close in the race, but you and Justin, I think, both got into a little bit of trouble in that race, just as many people did. But with close battling, you guys just seem to have the pace and the aggressiveness to defend. I know Justin put on one of the best defensive performances today I've ever seen on iRacing, but overall, you two are you're proving you're putting in a good name for the JM Motorsports team name there, and you're both going to come away with good constructors points tonight. But speaking of the rest of the season with the points totals, we head into the final 3 races of the season, and I know you missed a couple of races there, and I think if you had a full season, there's the potential you might have one of the 6 playoff spots there for sure. But heading into the final 3 races of the season, at Laguna Seca, Daytona, and then Darlington to round it off, what's your confidence level for that, and you think you'll be able to carry over your road course success tonight in the Laguna Seca next Friday?
This race was really an important one for myself, not only because it was my first race back after missing, several weekends consecutively, but it was also important because it allowed me to get refreshed, allowed me to start racing again with the guys and really build that confidence going to the final 3 races of the season. Laguna Seca is a really strong track for myself. I've got a lot of experience in other racing games and simulators on that track specifically, so I'm really confident going into that race. Really looking to change the team name around. Right now it's JM Motorsports, but really looking to switch it back to MJ Motorsports. It's a little running thing that Justin and I have, but it's going to be a really great close of the season with the next 3 races coming up, and certainly Justin and I will be hitting the drawing board and making sure that we're testing, we're finding that speed, and we're making sure we can run consistently, so we can walk away with another double podium here for both of us.
And I can't wait to see how those efforts go. You guys are you're quick, even when you're here like individually one apiece. So when you two team up, I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes to round off the season. But as we always do at the end of our interviews, it's time for, if you have any shout outs for people at home or anything you want to say, now is your time to do so as your kind of prize for finishing on the podium.
Yeah, thanks, Marshall. And first of all, I want to say thank you to yourself for organizing the series. A wonderful job, of course, as always. The commentary and all the previous races were great. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic this race when I watch this after. So first of all, I would love to thank my family, my parents who are watching at home, my sister who just bought her first house today. So congratulations to you, Jenna Preston, as well as my wife to be, Alyssa, who's downstairs watching on TV as well. So it's really exciting to have a nice show of support and being able to stream this live. Finally, would love to thank New Speed Motorsports, who is my sponsor for tonight. It's actually a racing team that I started with a good friend of mine, Anthony Simone. So that's a real life endeavor. So we have kart racers for us in real life, and I hope to bring that team to the digital realm here, so that Justin, myself, and some more drivers can enter the iRacing ring and try to make a new name for not only MJ Motorsports, but as well as my sponsor tonight, New Speed Motorsports. So Marshall, again, thank you. Great job to the rest of the drivers, to to Justin and to Woody up there in second. And yeah, really looking forward to the next one.
Well, thanks so much, Max. And I mean, congratulations on you and your wife to be, and congratulations on your performance tonight. Because again, it was a very well deserved one. And I think if your fiance is watching on TV, I think that was, at least from my perspective, the best wedding present I could give anybody is the potential to finish as well as you did tonight. So, well, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
And,
thanks, man. Thanks again, and fantastic job. And yeah, I look forward to talking to you again soon in the commentary booth.
Awesome. Same to you. Hopefully I'll see you in just a couple of weeks. So yeah, again, congrats. Have a good weekend, and we will see you out next Friday.
Thanks, Marshall.
Well, with that, we finish off your first interview of the night, and again, a new interview in the booth. It's good to talk to somebody a little bit different than usual, or somebody a little bit different than usual there with Mr. Max Preston. And again, he's run so quick throughout the season that I knew if he could just get a race in which he could run the full thing, didn't have tech issues, was able to get some practice in there, he would come away with the podium like he just did tonight. So thank you, Max, for making me look smart. And yeah, hopefully we'll see how his efforts and his teammate Justin Looks go the rest of the season. But with that, we now head to your second new podium finisher of the night, Mr. Woody Mahan, making his debut in our series. Oh, hey, Woody, it's Marshall in the commentary booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, first of all, Woody, making your official debut in the series tonight. Congratulations, coming away with your first podium and doing so in the second spot, coming just like milliseconds away from Justin Lewick there on the final couple of laps. Well, first of all, do you just want to kind of talk us through that battle there at the end? What was going through your head? What was your strategy trying to get a pass on Lewick? Where were your passing spots there on the banking on the backstretch that were working so well for you? And just kind of talk about your strategy there at the very end.
Well, towards the very end, inside the track, once we got in the infield, I could close the gap. He could, once we got back on NASCAR 1, he could get that jump, and it took me the entire NASCAR track to get up to his bumper. And so I kept building on it, and I could never clear him. But there was the only place that I could get to him and not lose a whole bunch of time or have to, door him or run him over.
Right, which is the last thing you want to do in a race like this, especially with the Skip Barber cars being as volatile as they are to taking collisions, especially side to side. But you kept it clean. The two of you were very aggressive there towards the end. I know Lewick has a very aggressive defensive style that seemed to work tonight. But overall, just I don't know. I think I've talked to Michael about kind of your experience on iRacing, and in the past, you said that you're kind of a force to be reckoned with when it comes to the IndyCar on iRacing. But what was your experience with like the Skip Barber series coming in? I know it's kind of a similar, I wouldn't say similar series, but it's also an open wheel series. So what was your experience with the Skip Barber coming in and with the Roval? Like, how confident were you feeling coming into your first official race in our series tonight?
I would say that I'm way more confident on road courses. It doesn't really matter what the road course is. I just prefer turning left and right to the ovals. But as far as, it's just usually open, I have an affinity for open wheel, whether it's the Skip Barber or the 79 or any of the Renaults, and obviously the IndyCar. But I just I have a preference. It's what I've sim raced for most of my sim racing. It's what I've kind of leaned on.
Right, and I mean, if that's the case, Roval's kind of the perfect combination where it's so little an oval, where the only aspect really would be the slipstreams you could get offered on an open wheel oval like you did in your debut in our series at the All-Star race earlier this season. Which also, congrats to you on that, because really I think, with the exception of that caution at the end, I think the race was as good as yours. So absolutely, congrats to you, I'd say, as the almost winner on that one, but. Again, almost winner on this one. You just seem to be, you've kind of become the new guy in our series that Andrew Bedrosian was for a long time, where you just seem to be so close a couple of times, and then when you finally get that win, it's an exciting deal. So as we head forward to Laguna Seca on the IndyCar series in just a week from now on the 14th, do you think that'll be your opportunity for the first win? Is that kind of the style of racing you're used to, and what's your particular feelings towards Laguna Seca as a track?
I really like Laguna Seca as, if you're trying to hot lap it, if you're trying to go for a fast lap, Laguna Seca really becomes a very, very treacherous place when you put 900 horsepower Indy cars out there all together, and the track all of a sudden goes from, whether it's 24 feet wide, it feels like it's about 8 feet wide then.
Well, it'll be the first time we've run them. We've run Laguna Seca in the IndyCar, so I'm looking forward to see what that aspect plays into it. We did it last year in the Skip Arbor like we did tonight, but I think that high speed should be exciting. And yeah, as you talk about, it's a great hot lap track. I love running it at my own time, but I've never actually run an IndyCar race at Laguna Seca on Iracing, so it's one that I think will take a lot of practice, and I'm definitely going to be hosting a practice race for that sometime this week, because that's not just one that you can practice in your own time. It's one that you need guys around you to do well at. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how you do there in just a week's time at Laguna Seca. But well, as we do at the end of all our podium interviews, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, or really just want to mention for your second place performance tonight, I should say?
Well, I want to thank you for doing one, allowing me into the league. Two, let me come in here and talk. You guys, there's a good group of guys out here. Nobody seems to cause too much of a ruckus, and everybody wants to go fast. So, I mean, I think you've got the genesis of something really fun. Obviously, I need to give a shout out to Mike, who is my teammate, Loud Pedal Motorsports. And I would say go Honda. That's what I would say to end it.
Oh, fair enough. Go Honda indeed. And well, going forward, it's a pleasure to have you making your debut tonight. And yeah, as you mentioned, we've got a group of guys here that over 2 seasons the guys that have stuck around have gotten better and better at being more and more sportsmanlike. And I think we've had cleaner and cleaner races throughout our season. So hopefully we can have a well-oiled machine for the final 3 races of our season. And I don't know if you'll be sticking with us for every race, even when we go off and do our final 2 NASCAR stock car races at the end of the season. But it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do the rest of our year. And hopefully this won't be the last time I talk to you in the podium booth the rest of the season, and really maybe the rest of whatever we end up doing after season 2. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you, Woody, and congratulations on your second place performance at a track as tough as Charlotte Roval tonight.
Thank you, Marshall.
And with that'll finish off our second interview of the night. And well, with that being said, we now get to the not a new driver to the podium positions whatsoever, but it is the first time he has taken the highest spot on that podium honor. Mr. Justin Lillick getting his first race win in our series. Let's get him in the booth right now for, well, probably the interview I've most been waiting for. Again, the closer he's come several times, and I know he's wanted to win so bad, so it'll be a pleasure to hear his thoughts in tonight's festivities. Hey, Justin, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Marshall. Yeah, I got you.
Well, first of all, congratulations. This is one that I knew has been in the making for a long time, and so many times you've come so close. I know I think you had two second-place performances last season. You had one earlier this season. I think you're the guy with the most second places that has yet to win a race, and you finally got the monkey off your back tonight. Just overall, like what is the feeling tonight? I know you got plenty of people in the YouTube chat who've been cheering you on the entire time. Just what are the emotions coming off of your first win in 2 seasons in our series?
I mean, to be blunt with you, honestly, it definitely took me long enough. But yeah, no, I'm so happy. That was a real fight with a lot of drivers being clean and, putting in great performances. And no matter where you went, like there was always a good battle, and there was always, drivers being smart. And that's really what you want to see. I was scared the whole time that people were going to catch up to me. But I mean, in the end, I was able to hold it off. And yeah, that's why I'm here now.
It most certainly is. And overall, I mean, yeah, you avoided incidents wherever you could. And the one thing that I've talked about in the past, I remember specifically last season when we went to Summit Point, was your defensive line that you run sometimes. You have this ability to take the unconventional defensive line and somehow make it work. And I think in this race it happened to be both into the final chicane and in corner 1. You'd be able to hold the outside line in a 2 wide and still be able to hold the line through the corner and have the quicker exit. And it was something you did so many times that throughout the race I was just kind of referring to you as the defensive guy. And what is it? Is it kind of a stylistic thing you do even in your real life racing thing, or what is it that gives you the confidence to try to make those moves that like big sweeping defensive moves to keep lines on the outside going and things like that? You just have a very unconventional but aggressive defensive line that it worked so well for you last season, and tonight it got you your first win. So is that kind of just something you do in your racing career generally?
Well, yeah, I find definitely it's a skill that I've been able to build in my many years of karting, especially in shifter kart racing. The big difference with shifter karts is you have front brakes, so you have the ability to really dive on them and brake as late as possible. And I find just through the practice I've gotten throughout the years and through all the battles I've been, both at the club level and the national level, and even when I competed at the World Championships, you really learn quickly that when there's a driver coming up on you, you need to know where to position them so that they get the worst run out of the corner. And obviously, I was using that absolutely to the best of my ability today. And I mean, in the end, it ended up working. So.
It most certainly did. You were using it to great effect, and in certain spots where I thought I'd basically countered you out of the position for the time being, you'd always find a way to get it back. And even when Woody got you, I think with 2 laps to go coming into the final chicane, you made an aggressive move back, but they always seemed pretty clean. You'd always be able to load it up in time, and it was just great racecraft from you tonight. It was a pleasure to watch. But well, man, again, it's been so long that so many times that I've thought it was going to happen, and to finally be getting the honors of doing the victory interview for you. Oh, I think I am losing internet connection as we speak. But if you can still hear me, do you just want to kind of talk about like what is your confidence level and your what are your feelings going forward as we go on to round, I think, 12 next week at Laguna Seca, and then finishing off with 2 more ovals, because you are officially in our playoff 6. So congrats on that. But well, as you fight for the championship and try to make your first win into several more, just how are you feeling for the final 3 races of our season?
I'm feeling really good, especially with Laguna Seca coming up. I mean, that's by far my favorite track in the world. Actually, fun story. So when I was much younger, probably about 5 or 6, my dad came home with the Gran Turismo video game for PlayStation 2, and we played on that all the time together. And no matter what, my dad always insisted we'd race at Laguna Seca. He believed that if he had time to practice one track and get that one track good, then that's what he would do. So I've done, I don't know, thousands of laps at Laguna Seca. And actually, I was able to visit Laguna Seca in person with my family, and more importantly with my dad, and we were able to share a moment together, being at the famous corkscrew and just being on that track that we've spent so many hours racing with throughout my childhood. So I'm very excited to be able to go and compete there, and I'm just excited to go forward. I mean, that race was crazy. I'm still kind of catching my breath from it, but really, a lot of that race, I just kind of closed my eyes and let my brain and my muscles just do the work without me, because sometimes when you overthink, you end up actually messing yourself up. So I mean, it was a crazy race, and honestly, I was just watching the laps tick down, just hoping that would be the final lap, or the next one would be the final lap, just so I could finally finish that race in P1.
Well, if there's ever a way to get your first win, it's to do it in style. And yeah, you and Woody had me on the edge of my seat there at the end. So I'm looking forward to seeing if you have that much of a connection to Laguna, and seeing how quick you've been at some of our IR18 road course races in the past. It's a pleasure to see how you'll start the first race of our playoffs. And I mean, Daytona is a total crapshoot. Like, I think as long as you stay on the lead lap coming into the final lap, it's anybody's race. So I like your chances coming into the playoffs, and really, although I like any of the chances of the guys in the top 6. So it'll be a tough battle, but well, tonight's a good momentum builder for you, and it's I mean, you've done it in the past as you finished on the podium before, but this is the opportunity where you get a chance to do some shout outs, and with so many fans in the YouTube chat, and your first time as the winner, hopefully you got something prepared here.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have absolutely nothing prepared, so please hang on. But I mean, first and foremost, thank you, Marshall. I mean, I say this any chance I get, but you're the reason all of us are able to get together and race and have great races like tonight. And I really do think you need a huge round of applause, because without you, none of this would obviously be possible. But I mean, on from that, the first person I really do need to thank is my dad. He's the reason I got into racing. He's been supporting me since day one. And I think now we're just about on our 10th year of racing in total. And my dad's been there at virtually every single race and has been supporting me that whole time. So first and foremost, huge thanks to him. Huge thanks to the rest of my family too, who's watching. And a huge thanks to my girlfriend, Hillary Flockstra, and her entire Flockstra family. I know they throw up all these races whenever I'm on to, watch it and support me. And I just love it. Just having them be there, and even if I win or lose, whatever happens, just having that support, it's such a fun experience, and it really makes me happy. And I mean, furthermore, I'm just happy to be able to come and compete. This series has been so much fun, especially throughout all of quarantine with nothing to do. This series really brought a lot of joy into my day to day, and has really made me look forward to each of the next races. I mean, I was really counting down the days until this race, because it's by far, in my opinion, one of my favorite car and track combos. And I just really couldn't wait to race it with a good group of guys that you have gotten together for this series. So, I mean, again, just thank you, Marshall, and thank you for making all this possible.
Well, thank you so much, Justin. That means a ton, and yeah, you kind of just summed the whole thing up there as to why I'm so excited to do this series, and I mean, starting it in the first place, coming into it without any experience on how to do this whatsoever, and I know some of the first broadcasts were shaky with me putting up updates on races last minute. And even now, I wouldn't say I'm the perfect series coordinator whatsoever, but yeah, just to know that like you've got so many people in the on the YouTube broadcast side that enjoy watching the races, and I mean, tonight you put on a show for them for sure, but yeah, just generally to know that you've enjoyed it so far and you've stuck with us through the whole thing, from the start of COVID until long after it's been over. So I know as you've been getting back into the real track, it's been a pleasure to see your updates and see what you're up to. But well, the fact that real life success can translate over to iRacing success is good to see, and not only that you'll be making the playoffs, but you getting your first win tonight. So it's been a pleasure. It's been so much fun to have you in the series. You're always a fun interview, and again, I mean, I was thinking, if ever you had another thing like at Charlotte earlier this season where you bat out of a race early, it'd be a pleasure to have you back in the booth. But man, if you keep having good finishes like this, I'll never see you in there again. So hopefully we'll maybe in some future opportunities, if I go on to which is the plan, going on to different racing broadcast occupations in the future, then it'd be a pleasure to have you as kind of a co-commentator or something. And you've proven you have the racing knowledge to do so with performances like tonight. So congratulations, Justin. Sorry, force a habit.
That's all right.
But congrats, Justin, tonight. It's been a pleasure to have you. It was a great performance, and have a great rest of your weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next week at Laguna, and overall, just have a great rest of your season, man.
Thank you very much, Marshall, and good night to everybody watching. Thank you for watching this crazy race. I hope everybody enjoyed it, because I know I certainly did. So have a good night, everybody, and thank you again, Marshall, for making this all possible.
Yep, thanks to you, Logan. Or do it again.
Oh, there you go. You did it again. Come on. Maybe I got to win more often for you to remember.
Hey, I'm not going to complain if you do. So thank you, Justin.
All right, sounds like a
good
plan.
Rest of your night.
All right, thank you. Bye, Marshall.
Yeah. Well, I will do my very best not to lose sleep over that. Again, you guys can probably understand the context for automatically assuming Logan would be on podium. But again, he had a great night too. So no shade to him. And again, shout out to Logan's family, Logan Pax's family, for watching on the YouTube chat. I guess better I mess the name up here than at the altar at my wedding or something. But with that being said, that'll round off the interview festivities for tonight's race here at the Charlotte Roval. I think if there's anything you could complain about tonight, it is not that this was a boring broadcast by any means. This is some of the most fun I've ever had on an iRacing race, and let alone one that I've commentated. So well, overall, there are your final race results for tonight. Very different podium than usual. 2 guys getting their first ever podium and 1 getting his first ever win. But besides that, it was just a crazy race throughout the field. I was going to go in and do the final calculations for who will take the final 6 playoff spots in the final 3 races before the reset. But I think based on positions, I can officially confirm that the 6 drivers in order in the playoffs for the Karts Computers Racing Series final 3 races of the season to declare a champion at the end of round 14 will be, in order, Logan Paxa, Michael Crobach, Andrew Bedrosian, Rich Foligno, Justin Lewick, and Devin Crosby, in that order. So those are your 6 guys that I believe, and I will announce officially next week, but that are on at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, into the playoffs pretty officially. So those will be your 6 guys fighting for a championship for the rest of the season. They have 3 more races to do so, one being Laguna Seca in the IR18 next week on Friday, August the 14th. Then the week after that, on Friday, August the 21st, we go to a race very similar to our season opener this year with NASCAR at Daytona. And then finally, we round out the season on August 28th. August 28th at Darlington in the NASCAR series as well, as chosen by Michael Crobach, our All-Star Race winner, to declare a Karts Computers Racing Series Season 2 champion at Darlington Raceway, which again, as I mentioned earlier this season, is kind of fitting because this series started as a way for drivers that were unable to race as a result of COVID-19 at the beginning of the pandemic to, well, a series that weeks and even months after COVID has started to open up for racing drivers to go back to their usual thing, Well, Darlington was where it all started for the traditional conventional racing world. It was the first track that NASCAR went back to, and NASCAR was the first mainstream racing series to go back to action in North America. So kind of a fitting way to end off season 2 and possibly in the current iteration, the final season of the Karts and Computers Racing Series, which again isn't to say that we won't have a series very similar to this one, but well, Karts and Computers is only accurate for so long until guys, well, were never in their karts to begin with. So I guess you can call it Karts and Computers Racing Series, but I guess we'll never do a real-life karting race unless I get the money for real-life cameras. But the point is, it's been a pleasure to have you, everybody, watching tonight. It was a fun broadcast, and there are your final results for tonight. I think we made some improvements on the broadcast side. We finally got the team names up in the broadcast graphics, and overall, it's just been a pleasure to host tonight. So thank you, everybody, for waiting after our 2-week break. It'll only be a 1-week break till next week at Laguna Seca. And overall, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching round number 11 of the Karts and Computers Racing Series at Charlotte Roval, and I will see you all next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.